know that I can give you the best system on earth to go and create content, to get clients, but most people, they have the system, and then they out-logic themselves with emotion. So they're like, oh, well, I didn't know how to do this thing. No, you were just scared. That's exactly what's happening. So we're gonna talk about a little bit of the fears first. 3 common ones: fear of being seen, fear of looking stupid, who wants to look stupid, and fear of potentially failing in public. The strategy is like, and let me know if this relates, like, what the heck do I post? Maybe you just scroll, you're doom scrolling the whole time, you don't really know what to post, and then you just copy someone, it doesn't hit, and then you don't want to do it again the next day. Or, I know how to get seen, but I don't know how to have the right people, like actual paying clients, actually find my content. Or, once they find me, how on earth do I get them to actually pay me? Does that sound pretty familiar? Yeah? Cool. I'm glad this is very relevant. I had limited information when I was coming here, but I'm like, I think this will probably hit. So in case you needed a little bit more reinforcement, sounds like I'm in the right room, you don't, on why now is the time to build a personal brand and why I'm so about this. First one is obviously visibility. Who's ever seen someone on social media and you're like, man, I'm smarter than that person, my business is better than that person, I can provide better service than them, why the fuck are they making more money than me? It's because they're visible, they're more visible than you. Second one is, Second, I know this, yeah. We all do it. We see the people and we're like, you're an idiot, but they're making so much money because they're brave enough to be visible. Yeah. Secondly, we gotta have a system to make money without selling out time. Otherwise, we're gonna be stuck selling out time for eternity. And third, this is a recent one. The more AI actually takes over, the more scarce human connection becomes, and therefore the more in demand. So the people that actually feel trust toward you, that's what people want nowadays. They want to know who they're buying from. They want to feel trust toward the brands and the people that they're buying from. And we actually did a big experiment with this in my business. So we do, and you're gonna learn the system that we do to make over 6 figures a month profit from social media. You're gonna see all the behind the scenes. But we tested robots versus humans. And you would think, speed to lead, robots are better. Robots answer quicker, it's perfect every single time. Everything tanked. We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on ads testing this, so we had a lot of data. Everything was better with humans that were imperfect, slower, but humans. So your personal brand is going to be very, very important in this next 2 years, especially as AI comes in. And Forbes agrees with me. Apparently, a personal brand is the one thing that's, well, not the one thing, but one of the few things that's never going to be replaced. It'll actually be strengthened as AI comes in. Because who's a little bit scared of this crazy chapter that we're in, where no one really knows what's going to happen? You guys work on people physically, so you're probably feeling pretty safe. But at the same time, I'm certainly thinking about it. Like, I have a software company. I also am talking about all kinds of things like this. I'm doing social media myself, and I'm constantly looking ahead going, well, am I safe? How am I going to be impacted by this? And I feel very safe, thankfully, because of these. All right, so before we get into the strategy, we're going to have to get over some fears. So to do that, you got to have a strong why. So I want you guys, I know it feels a little bit corny when you're asked to do these exercises, but like close your eyes for a second or just look down. And I want you to think about 3 to 5 years from now, like what does your actual dream reality look like? How many people are you serving? When you wake up, you put your feet on the floor in the morning, where are you? What kind of house are you in? How much impact are you having? When you open your bank account, how much money are you making every single month? When you wake up, are you going into work? Are you spending 8, 9 hours there? Or do you have the freedom to spend time with your friends, your family? What does that look like? And I really want you to think about 3 to 5 years from now, and also 3 to 5 years prior to now. That probably feels like it's a lifetime away, but 3 to 5 years prior doesn't really feel that long ago. And so the moves that you make right now, the decisions that you make right now, the fears that you're overcoming right now are going to either create or impede that vision that you just had. And chances are that vision requires some kind of money and also people knowing that you exist, right? If you want to impact people and you want to make money, money is just a byproduct of the value that you're producing. So we require people to actually service us with that money. So we got to talk about the willingness to be seen. That is going to dictate your income and your ability to impact people and your ability to get to this vision. And I'll do my little highlight slide just for a second. This is why I am so much about having a personal brand, because it has changed my life. I'm not special. I'm just a girl from Australia. That's why I have kind of a weird accent that you've probably picked up on by now. And I worked at a bank job, and I was like, I cannot sit in a room. Like, I'm fidgety. I cannot sit in a fluorescently lit cubicle for the rest of my life. And I just started producing these super cringy videos on YouTube. If you go look me up, which I'll tell you not to, and that's exactly what you're going to go do. But at 22, I started producing these cringy videos on YouTube, changed my entire life, got 100 million views. With that, I was like, okay, I have visibility. I was kind of thrown in the deep end with it. What the heck do I do with it? And so thankfully, I learned the online business side. I made over 8 figures online and now doing over 6 figures a month in profit, because a lot of people talk about revenue. They don't talk about profit. 80,000 people, speaking of impact, like I'm no smarter. You guys are probably all much smarter than me, but I've helped 80,000 people through my work just because I'm visible. I've been able to consult for brands like Dose Daily doing over 100 million a year. And I've met, like this is the coolest part of it, I've met all of my people. Like you guys are in this room because you wanted people just like you in your life and your business. All of my business partners in MemberUp, our software company, my partner Hunter, I met from rooms just like this that came from my personal brand. Like we never would have connected if I wasn't visible on social media. And so nowadays, I'm the CEO and co-founder of MemberUp, a platform that it sounds like you guys may be familiar with, and CreatrBusiness, where I help creators run businesses online. So that's my highlight reel. But I'm also an introvert, which you probably may not recognize because I'm up here and very visible on social media. I'm absolutely no more special than anyone else. I was insecure. I was terrified when I got the 100 million views producing the super cringy content. I definitely have imposter syndrome at times, which I'm sure you guys feel from time to time as well. Hunter, do I have imposter syndrome? Every other week, there's like a moment where you wake up and you're like, fuck, am I really qualified to do this? And everyone has it, right? And I certainly did not have it all figured out, which I think is this lie that we tell ourselves, right? We see these people online and it's like, oh, they must be super extroverted. Oh, they must be like the life of the party. That's not me. I like to chill in sweats at home and I question myself constantly. But I don't let that dictate my actions because I know what's possible when I actually show up. So we're gonna talk about these 3 fears. Because again, I can give you the system, but if we don't get over the fear of being perceived, the fear of failure, and imposter syndrome, you're not gonna do anything. You'll write down some cool notes, your life will stay the same, and that 3 to 5 years will look exactly as it does now. So the first one, the fear of being perceived, is really just the fear that someone, whether you know them or not, is gonna see your content and have an opinion. Shock horror, yeah.
100%.
Right. I hate to break it to you, but people have an opinion about you in this room, right? You're being perceived right now. It's just at scale, which is what we're not used to. So let's talk about that for a second. This is my cringy content. Don't go look at it because I've shown you enough of it for now. If anyone knows about the fear of being perceived, I do, because I literally did the cringiest stuff ever when I was 22. So 22-year-old girl buys Lambo was the video that I first went viral for. And so you can imagine with that, yes, you can imagine with that there's a lot of people that were very inspired by it, but there's also a lot of people very triggered by it that wanted to very strongly tell me their opinion about what I was doing. And it got me really fascinated about why that is so hard for us. Like, why is it so hard to be perceived? And this was really interesting. So for most of human history, we lived in these tiny little tribes, like 50 to 150 people. And in that environment, if we were seen, like there was attention on us, that was literally a death threat. Because you either rose to the top of the tribe, you gained status and protection, or you got rejected, judged, pushed out. And if you're pushed out of the tribe, you have no shelter, no food, no safety. And so our nervous system is not evolved to social media times, it's evolved to that. And so it's just trying to protect you. Like whenever you're sitting there going, oh shit, do I post it? Is it gonna be okay? What do my parents think? What is this, that? It's your nervous system trying to protect you, but it's not evolved for this era. And so how we overcome this, because now we know why it's doing that, how do we get over it? For me, it was knowing that I got thrown in the deep end and hey, I was still safe. The work is not to remove the fear. The work is to let your nervous system understand that once you do it a few times and you don't die, you're not pushed out of the tribe, nothing happens, you still have food, shelter, love, and safety, then your nervous system goes, huh, it's okay, right? It's just like anything in life. You're terrified of it until you do it and you're like, wasn't even that bad. It's totally fine. And so the more you do it, the more your nervous system calibrates and the easier it becomes. So the reframe that I like to think about is that judgment is just someone's preference. And oftentimes we think of judgment when someone's like, oh, I hate your opinion on this, or who are you to be doing this kind of stuff? We think of it as like a directive, like we need to change our actions in some way. We actually don't. It's literally just someone indicating that they have a preference, that you do something differently. Oh, I prefer you think differently. I prefer you have a different opinion. I prefer you not post that. I prefer you do post that. That's all it is. And they're not saying that you're worthless, you're not worthy, you're wrong, this or that. That's all they're indicating. I have a different preference. And when you start seeing things like that, it becomes much less insulting. When I get a comment, I'm like, oh, you have a preference that I take a different viewpoint. Cool. Really doesn't bother me. I run ads, and I'm sure you guys have looked through the comments on ads at times. And it's a pretty interesting place, especially YouTube comment section, pretty interesting place. But when you start to just look at it like, oh, they have a preference that I don't run ads. They have a preference that I don't promote social media because they don't like that. Then you just completely detach from any of other people's perspectives about you. So the real question that I always ask myself, and I invite anyone that's feeling a little bit concerned about judgment and perception, is, are you really gonna let someone else's preferences dictate your life choices? Are you gonna stay small, not make the money you want, stay capped? Because someone that you've never even met, or maybe some that you do, have a preference that you do something different. That's all it is. And if I ask myself that question, I always have this vivid vision of what I want my life to become, and I'm like, it's worth a little discomfort. I can do that. So think of your vision, like whenever you are sitting there, and we're gonna get into the strategy of posting so you know what to post, but you're still gonna have those moments where you're like, oh shit, like I gotta do it now, I gotta press post, I gotta put myself out there. Think of your vision 3 to 5 years from now. Is it worth 10 minutes of you feeling uncomfortable and going on with your day? Probably the answer is yes. All online criticism is just people who cannot regulate themselves emotionally. That's all it is. And when you see it like that, it says so much more about the other person than it does about anything that you're doing. It's kind of like when you're driving in traffic, you know, and you're just like sitting at the lights and someone you look over and they're like flipping you off and they're going nuts in their car. And you're like, what the heck is up with that person? They just cannot emotionally regulate. Something's happened in their day and you're the outlet for it. It's the same thing online. And when you start to see it like that, like you just do not care anymore. That's all it is. Hopefully we've overcome the first fear, just a little bit. Second fear, what about the fear of failure? What if I do it and it doesn't work? What if I put myself out there and I get nothing in return? Sounds like that one might be resonating a little bit. So whenever I find that an emotion is getting in the way for me, I like to go, what is this emotion? Just like the tribal part of it, I'm like, what is this? Like, why do I have this? It's part of survivalism in some way. And so with failure, it's an interesting one because me, being a recovering perfectionist, I used to define failure as not getting the perfect result the first time. That was failure in my family. I had a dad that was very, very hard on me, and if I didn't get the A+, if I got 97% instead of 100, that was failure. That was all that, yeah, seems like you know. And so we grow up thinking that anything that isn't perfect is failure. And so I had to redefine what failure actually was. And so for me now, failure is giving up after an experiment that doesn't produce the desired result. So I see every single thing in life, in social media and business, just as an experiment. Let's see, objectively, what happens when I do this, cause and effect. Oh, I got an effect that I don't desire. I'm gonna change the cause and get a different outcome. But when we're so emotionally attached to, it has to work, naturally it's like so limiting. We can't do anything in life because if it's not perfect, what's gonna happen? I'm gonna break down as a human. Obviously, that's not a great place to be. So I just say to myself, well, I can't fail if I don't quit. Right? And I view everything as that experiment. The more that I do, the more I can understand what works and what doesn't. So in content, the more I post, the more data I get, and the more chances I have to learn and succeed. So if I post 4 times in a month, I get 4 chances to understand what my audience likes and don't like. If I post 30 times in a month, now I have 30 more data points, so I can beat the next person who's posting 1 time a week. And so when you think about it like that, instead of this short-term thinking that we're all very addicted to in today's like scroll dopamine era, if we think long-term, you want to commit to building a personal brand for a year. Over that year, what happens at the end of every 30 days? What did people like? What did they not like? Instead of, I posted, oh my gosh, I'm going to refresh. I'm going to really work myself up about this one specific post. And so the only way that building a personal brand and creating content doesn't work is literally if you stop. If you post one post, it flops, and that's it for you, that's it for your whole career. That's the only way that you can fail. And if you want a fun exercise to do, like anyone that you guys really relate to online, like I'm sure you think of someone where you're like, man, they have the brand that I want to build. Go and look at their old content or even their current content. I bet there's so much in there that's flopped that you've never even realized because you idolize them and you like what they're creating. But if you scroll back, like go on my page, there's plenty of stuff that flops. But you have to go through, just like in business, which I know you guys know, it's like you have to overcome those things to get to the win. And it's the same thing with content. Who deals with imposter syndrome? Is that a big one for you guys or not so much? Sounds like a little bit, a little bit here and there. That feeling that you don't know enough, that someone knows more than you, maybe someone that's bigger in your industry is gonna see what you're doing and say, that's not the way to do it, and then they're gonna judge you, and then you're gonna lose status in the community, and you might be kicked out of the tribe, right? I say it because it's very, very common. We all face this. So the question is, when will you be qualified enough? Like when you start to get in that loop, it's like, who's gonna give you that permission? Like, what are you waiting for? Is there a point in time where you're like, oh, yeah, when I've done that, then I can start posting about it? And there's probably not an answer to that question. And we've just evolved asking for permission because at school we're like, can I go to the bathroom? We have to like raise our hand to do anything. And the cool thing is when you're an adult, you just give yourself that permission. And again, the person that you are pissed off by because you see them making more money, they just gave themselves that permission instead of waiting for it from someone else. There's also this thing called the curse of knowledge, which I'm sure you guys know about. When I was making my cringy 22-year-old content, I was like blissfully ignorant. I did not know what I didn't know, and I thought I knew everything, and it was kind of a beautiful place to be in because I didn't have the curse of knowledge. I didn't have imposter syndrome. The more I know, now I realize the more I don't know, and that's where it starts to pick up. So you guys are all very intelligent, so you probably have even more imposter syndrome than the average person because the more you know, the more you recognize you don't know, and there's this whole world of knowledge that you haven't yet broken into. Then you speak to someone outside of your industry, and you recognize, holy shit, I know a lot of stuff. Right? Like to me, all this stuff that I'm talking about today, there are times where I go into rooms to share it, and I'm like, everyone knows this stuff. Like, no, they don't. Just like your knowledge, you think, because it's your practice every single day, you're like, everyone knows this stuff. They absolutely don't. So if you ever need to overcome imposter syndrome, go talk to someone who has no knowledge of your industry, and you'll be like, I'm pretty solid in this. I know what I'm talking about. And also, you don't have to know everything. Like, we put this pressure on ourselves. You got to know all the things. You just have to be 10% ahead of the people that you're teaching. That's literally it. And honestly, if you're too far ahead of someone, they don't relate to you anymore, right? You're just like, do you guys want to go and get business advice from the billionaire? Probably not, because you're like, oh, that feels like a long gap from where I'm actually at. I would rather learn from the person that's actually 20%, 100% ahead of me. That's it. So there's a beauty in being closer to that person's current standpoint. And this is one that I like to remind myself of. The question isn't whether you're good enough. That's what imposter syndrome asks us, right? Am I good enough? Can I do this? It's just whether you're brave enough to find out how good you could be. Because the only way that you get good at anything is through being willing to suck at something, right? Like the amount of, look at my 22-year-old content. Like I was willing to suck, thank God, and that got me here. But I had to be willing to be cringe. I had to be willing to suck. I had to be willing to fail publicly in order to find out what I actually was capable of. And the same is true for all of us. Does that help with the fear? A little bit. For this moment in time at least. I guarantee you when you wake up tomorrow, the fear will probably come back up again. So you might have to give yourself the pep talk over and over and over again. But hopefully, maybe we can give you the recording. You can listen to me get in your head about this. I also have a podcast, if you want, where I kind of talk about this stuff because it's so common and it stops brilliantly talented people from just doing the thing and putting themselves out there. So now let's talk about the fun part, which is the very logical part, which I love, which is the strategy. What the heck do I post? How do I get the right people to see it? I don't know how to turn those people from just following me into actually buying from me. If I told you to drive somewhere, and I said, there's no map, there's no GPS, there's no phones, go there, you would probably have absolutely no idea how to get there, right? And it's the exact same thing as trying to build your personal brand without having a brand guide. Does anyone here have a brand guide already for their personal brand? Yes? Yeah? For your practice? Yeah. Yes.
So is personal brand our business? Personal brand is you.
You are the brand. You're like, wait, what? Yes, we're going to get into it all. Yes. So just to be clear, personal brand, like I have businesses, but I am a person. My personal brand is my values, what I stand for, what I stand against. It's what people think of when they think of Amy. You also have one. And yes, your business is a part of that. Your business is a part of that, but it's not everything. And when you have a personal brand, you can shift businesses no matter what happens. I've had 6 businesses over the last 16 years, and because it was fueled by my personal brand, Every single time I went into a new area, I had leads, I had opportunities, I had everything waiting because it was attached to me as a person, not to the brand itself. Also, nowadays, I know it's easy to go into business and say, well, I have an e-com company. The brand stands on its own. For me, I have a software company, and it's like, oh, the brand stands on its own. Yeah, but people want to know who they're buying from, right? How many times do you look at a company and you're like, who owns this? And you go look at the person's social media. And I guarantee you that if they just have like little Canva graphics, you're like, I don't know who this person is. I don't trust him. But then when we go to create our own content, we create the little Canva graphics, right? So a personal brand is what we're going to break down and map out for you guys today so that no matter what happens in your business, you have an asset that you can take with you. It's also going to strengthen your business infinitely. So
something that we talk about a lot, especially as people are hiring, specifically as you're trying to remove yourself from the face of the business, because we start out as the brand is me and people are referred to just me. So I've taught how to remove yourself from being the face where people only know you.
Correct.
So just to highlight, it's not that you then need to come back and be the face of your practice. It's you as the owner versus your brand that you're building.
Yes. So, and that's a good point because as we're talking about hiring and talent, your personal brand is a really good filter for the talent that's going to come in. For instance, if you were considering working with me, chances are you've probably followed me on Instagram, you've looked at what I believe in, you know that I'm not about fluffy emotional excuses, all that stuff, which we're gonna dig into my brand. And so it's been a really good filter. People that apply to work with me, they already have my values because I'm gonna repel anyone that's like, I want the soft life and this and that, and I'm driven by my emotions, I don't stand for it. And having a sense of someone that you apply to work for, let's say, hate him or love him, Elon Musk. You probably don't want to apply to work for him if you want a cushy job, right? You're like, that dude drives people hard. Same thing with other business owners that you might know. And so as we're talking about hiring and business brand versus personal brand, your personal brand can be a good filter for attracting better quality talent because it filters out the people that you don't want before that. But yes, to your point, not saying you have to go be the face of your business anymore. Like MemberUp, our software company, it has its own engine without me. I fueled it in the beginning, got it off the ground. Now it has its own engine without me. I have my personal brand, which stays with me forever until the end of time. No matter what business I start, I have leads, opportunities, people waiting. So that's what we're talking about today. And your business brand versus your personal brand will always win. Unless you have, even looking at Elon and Tesla, what's bigger? Elon. Tesla is less followed than Elon himself. If you look at Gary Vee, if you guys are familiar with him, VaynerMedia, less followed than Gary Vee himself. I've had this so many times where I have a business account, I have my personal account. People want the people. People are following real humans and people, not these brands. And yes, you can create a business brand that has a soul that is highly followed, but it's always going to be outpaced by your personal brand. So before you get overwhelmed, because I can see some faces going, oh shit, I have to put myself out there, we're going to break it all down. So first thing I want you to do, go to my Instagram and DM me this word because I'm going to send you the template on there that we can go through, and you guys can either go through it now together as we go through mine, or you can fill it out later. But I'm going to send you that template for free so you have it, and we're going to go through my brand guide. So it's one of the easiest ways that I can show you what it actually looks like behind the scenes. And if that's the word, big guide. Yeah. I'll give you a second.
So when you talk about the personal brand, at some point, I have a closed off Instagram account. I have a friend only Facebook account, things like that. It's been around since 2008, right? But that's in a sense what you're saying. So those people who there's a neighborhood gal that she is posting on everything. Every time she rides first class with her family, every time she goes on a trip, every time she's annoyed by something that isn't happening politically that she likes, she puts that on there. I know exactly who that woman is, and I do not spend that much time with her.
Yeah.
Is this a little bit what you're talking about?
Yes, with an asterisk.
Sure.
So a lot of people get freaked out that you have to share your entire life.
Yeah.
That you have to be the Lambo girl. I don't even want to be that person anymore. So you do not have to do it that way. And what we're going to map out together is going to determine what you share and what you don't share. Nowadays, I pretty much only share personal branding, business. You'll see the topics that I share about. I don't share every single thing that's happening in my life. I have a private life as well. So we can keep some things private, but yes.
Okay.
Kind of like Sarah Blakely and Spanx, is that?
It's a good way to think about it.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
That's good. Yeah.
Yes.
But
Yes, you have solidified this analogy for us.
I guess I have one more fear, which is getting sucked into social media, and how
Yeah.
Like, I think it's like the future smoking, that it's like so bad. And
Yeah.
sometimes I have to delete it from my phone because it sucks me in so much.
Yeah.
That's actually like my biggest fear. Do you have any?
I do. So I have a rule for myself that I have to create more than I consume.
Okay.
So that keeps me.
That's really
Well,
I never beyond.
it really stops you consuming though. Once social media becomes your work, the allure of it being like a plaything kind of stops. Because
it's like working in a bakery.
exactly. It's like working at the ice cream shop. You're like, I'm done. Like, we work on social media, so I'm like, the last thing I want to do at night is open up social media. The other thing is you can like literally set just time limits nowadays. Like, you can set a limit on Instagram and it'll kick you out.
Give me 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
10 times.
Well, I have an antidote. Sounds like you know. There's a little tool that I have on my fridge. It's called a brick. Yeah. And we always like want to get bricked up today. We go and tap it on the fridge, but it's a great thing.
Going on social media and you have to physically go
Tap it. So like on my morning walks, I know I don't get addicted to social media. I get addicted to working. I get addicted in Slack. And so I'm like, no, it's my morning walk. I need to like have time without that. It's all good. So instead of like, if I just go on the walk and I'm like using willpower, it's not going to happen. I'm going to be like, oh, I'm just going to check that email. I'm just going to check that thing. So you just tap it on your fridge and it won't let you open physically those apps until you get back and you tap it again. So that can be a good, like, if you actually need something to control you, that's helpful as well.
I've almost ordered it like 6 months.
Yeah.
I've never used it. It just sits on my fridge. I haven't even sent them.
It helps.
You're like, but even just knowing it's there.
Yeah. My friend like swears by it. Honestly, I need to use it more than I do, but yes, I'm committed to getting in a habit of using it more so. All right, we're gonna go through my brand guide because I think the most helpful thing rather than teaching in theory is just like, let's just see it in action. Like, what does it look like? So first thing before we do absolutely anything in our brand or our business is like, what's the point of it? What do we want to happen as a result of this brand? So we got to define like, what are your 3 overarching goals for your personal brand, not just your business. Remember, it's going to outlast your business. So for me, these are my goals. To become the leading business school for the creator economy, support over 10,000 creators and founders, help people live better lives and step into their highest potential. Like, that's what I wake up and do every day. It's what I'm really motivated by. You will have your own version of this. Like, whatever really hits you in the gut and you're like, I want to do this. Second part is a business benefit. Attract more qualified and pre-sold leads and hit 500K plus months easily. So my personal brand will help me do that. And that is the second goal that I have of it. The third is to build a flywheel of opportunities that come to me, including great talent that want to work with me and just connect with cool people. Like I said, I've met all of my co-founders, everyone through my brand.
So one way that you just said it makes you sound like a business.
Mm-hmm.
So like you're saying that instead of us having like our LLC, this is like our sole proprietorship.
Yes.
Like this is like us as our own business.
Correct. So I actually have Amy Sangster LLC. So like when I do speaking, when I do any of that,
Yeah,
like-
that's who you're getting paid through, but it's your personal
Yeah.
brand as you as the.
correct.
Okay.
Yep, and then I have my businesses, LLCs. So like a third part for me is like, I just want to connect with cool people. And putting yourself out there allows you to do that. Like the amount of people that have just connected with me because I have numbers on a screen is really actually quite cool. Like I told you, I met Hunter literally from a group of people just like this that I got invited to because of the numbers that I had on a screen, and they looked at my content and they're like, you look kind of cool. Also, want to go on a trip to Hawaii together? And I was like, sure, I'm an introvert, but let's try this out. Went and I met all of my business partners, now my partner in life as well, all because of a personal brand. So that remains my third goal. So for you, just think of one for now. And this is something you can ponder on like over your meditation tomorrow or your yoga. Think about like, what do I want to happen as a result of my personal brand? Like if I'm going to put the energy into building this thing, like what would need to happen to make this incredibly worthwhile? Those are the things fit for me. And it can support your business. For instance, if you ever want to sell your business, I don't know if that's an objective that any of you have, then PE firms, maybe they find out what you're doing, just like Sarah Blakely and Spanx, right? If she's sharing the journey of Spanx, a lot more people know about that brand now just because of it. MemberUp and software. I have had opportunities for people to buy our company purely because they know what I'm doing because I exist on social media that never would have found me otherwise. So it can support your business, but remember, it's going to exist even if and when you sell or shut down your business. Now, the part that makes it a personal brand, not just a brand, and this exists in your business brand as well, is your values. People want to know, and when you think of like the influencer that you have in your mind, and I hate the word influencer because it sounds so petty, especially as a business owner, you're like, ugh, I don't want to be an influencer. But when you think about someone, a personality that you follow online and you like what they're doing, it's generally because you know what they stand for, what they stand against, and you also associate them with certain things. So we need to define that for your personal brand as well. And it's actually pretty cool because you just shut your eyes and you exactly know what this is. So for me, like this is who I am as a person in one slide in Canva, basically. I'm like, all right, what do I stand for? Feeling the fear and doing it anyway. I've already depicted that today. Doing the work over, systemizing the work over doing the work. Overcoming limitations, building a personal brand. Again, I'm exemplifying that. Getting ahead financially, keeping it simple. Good leadership, personal and team, creating leverage cash flow businesses. That's basically all the things that I talk about and what people get a sense of online. You also need to share what you stand against, which is the scary part if you're scared of perception. Because when you start saying, I'm for this and I'm not for this, naturally, there are going to be polarizing people. Instagram literally shows it to people that have differing opinions to generate engagement. That is actually what you want. You want to create discourse, and you want people to understand what you stand against. So for me, like, I stand against victimhood, settling, faceless businesses, which might trigger some people in the room. Because I work with so many people and they're like, can I build a theme page and make $100,000 a month? I'm like, no, you can't. I mean, maybe, but it's going to be a lot harder. Why not just get over the fear, feel the fear, and do it anyway, right? Fluffy stuff, I hate it. I hate people that don't teach real strategies and that teach theory. I hate all that crappy AI content like chat slop that we've seen nowadays, right? Where it's like, if you're not building your brand, it's not just a person problem, it's a dichotomy. Like, I hate that crap. It's so overdone. You guys will see it. Don't use AI in your content. Use it in your workflow, which we'll talk about. Don't just let AI write your content because you're going to blend in with everyone else. Feelings dictating actions, being unfulfilled in traditional jobs, college debt, and complexity. And then, so we know what we stand for and what we stand against. What do we associate the person with? So with a brand, right? When I say Aloe Yoga, what do you associate that with? Probably like hot girls in workout gear. Right, yeah. Yeah. Tight lycra. Okay, when I say Spanx, right? You associate it with Sarah Blakely. That is one association. Yeah. So people may associate you with your business. So that's a good thing. Like Sarah Blakely wants to be associated with Spanx. I want to be associated with MemberUp and CreatrBusiness, my businesses. But it's not the entire thing. And how we perceive someone, like people get so caught up on what a personal brand actually is. It's just like the 3 words that they associate you with. For instance, when I did the 22-year-old Lambo girl video, I was the Lambo girl, unfortunately. Thankfully, now because I have detached myself from that style of content, I'm no longer seen as that. And nowadays, I'm more about, what do I talk about? Business, branding, success. Quiet luxury is kind of like my vibe, the way that I dress and the way that I do things. I like aesthetic stuff. Like everyone knows that it's just, I'm probably a creative at heart, so I just like doing that, and that's kind of the way that I do things. Money, freedom, simple, elevated fashion. Like that's what you kind of see and get a sense of when you see me online, when you see my content. It doesn't have to be fancy. Yours does not have to be fancy. It's just personally what I like, and that's okay. That's a cool part about a personal brand is like you get to actually be a human in it and be yourself in it as well, which can be intimidating, but also really fun once you become comfortable with that. So think about like, do you guys know Alex Hormozi? No? Okay. Yeah? One of the first rooms that doesn't know him. Okay, big business influencer. He's like this guy that wears Crocs and like a wife beater, like singlet in all of his content. And so everyone's like, okay, Alex Hormozi, business Crocs, wife beater. It's like who you associate with. Yeah, exactly. No strips, right? So you know. So the question is for you then. Let's say 3 to 5 years from now, you're doing the thing, you're creating the content, you've got 100,000 followers. What are those 3 to 5 words that people are going to associate you with? Is it, part of it's your business, but what else? Like what beyond the business? Is it, some people you might be like, oh, super opinionated, and that's okay. If they're like a political commentator, you kind of want that association. So what are the associations that you want to be associated with and that also support that vision that you have? And I'll give you an example of this. So I had a client, and she was trying to help people that had cancer. And my partner actually previously had cancer, so it was one that hit home for me. And she had a program for people that was helping them when they had been diagnosed go through all the emotional aspects that come with it. But when I looked at her personal brand, she was doing all the right activities, the sales generating activities. When I looked at her brand, I was like, oh, here's the problem. She loved princess like outfit and attire. Yes. To each their own. And this is where you have to make sure the associations actually support the brand, right? If you've just been diagnosed with cancer, naturally, if you go to someone's Instagram page, you want to see someone that looks professional, supportive, calm. You don't want to see someone in like a tutu, literally. She was a hot pink tutu on her page. Like, that's not the person you trust in that moment. And so you have to make sure these associations also match with your goals. So there's an element of it being personal. For instance, I like shooting guns every now and then. Doesn't really match my brand. So I do that in my private time and I enjoy it. I don't really share it online, right? So there's parts that you can enjoy as a human. You just don't have to share all of that kind of stuff.
And that could be like on your like personal Instagram page that's private if you wanted, right? Like
If you-
she could do her princess things on like
Absolutely,
a
yeah.
private page, but maybe have
Just
her
have a
work
select few people
persona.
following her.
Absolutely. And it's funny because people talk to me about having personal pages, and to me, because I work in social media, I'm like, man, the last thing I want to do is create more personal content. I'm like, just text me, just call me if you want to know what's going on. Like my friends, that's how we communicate versus Instagram itself. But yes, you could.
I think what's hard about this, just what's going through my brain right now,
Go
is I'm immediately thinking about the associations but that are directly related to my business. Like I'm thinking of osteoporosis, menopause. You have female athletes. Right?
That's great. That's totally fine. Because what if you sell your business? You're still going to be the expert in those things, right? You still want speaking opportunities that come from that, press that comes from that, opportunities, business partnerships, etc.
Okay.
Yeah? Does that make
So
sense?
Here's an example. Also, I have another question. Like, okay, so let's say I play tennis.
Yep.
Really bad.
Yeah.
I'm not good.
Me too.
I'm always
It's
line
hard.
five, I'm the worst thing.
Yeah.
I'm like not good at all.
Yeah.
But I really like treating tennis players because I get it.
Yeah.
Right? Is that bad that I show that I'm kind of crummy at it?
No, I mean, the question.
You don't have to show that you're crummy at
I
it.
Yeah.
Show a picture of you with your.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I'm really
actually,
shitty at this.
I win more often now because we play at the lowest
Yeah.
level, right?
Yep.
But every time we move up, I'm like, I'm back to losing again. You know what I mean? So like, does that amount of transparency,
Mhm.
does that hurt your,
It's a good question. So
do you know what I mean?
to that, I ask you a question. What do you want to be known for? Like, what is the thing that you want to happen for having a personal brand?
You
don't even want a personal brand.
I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, I want to be, when I think of who I am as a
Mhm.
person, when people come and see me,
Yep.
and that is exactly who I am in my personal life, right?
Yep.
Like I am moderation. I am like take you seriously, but
Yep.
then we kind of laugh at a couple of things, and you know, it's funny. I was talking about not being fearless, but I am a little bit more fearless in my regular life.
Okay.
But with my patients, I'm like pushing them, let's do
Yep.
it. But I'm like super fearful of like the big stage.
Yep.
I would get up in front of a huge group of people that are humans.
Yeah.
But the keyboard
Yeah.
is very scary.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like
Good.
I want to be known for that person that these people all see me
Okay.
as.
Yep.
Do I really show the majority of people in my life?
Yep. Okay, so there's a couple things in there that we can dive into. I think a good thing for the end is we can dive into why is it so hard online versus in person. We can talk about that. And it definitely comes down to the tribal element. This is a tribe right here. But you don't know what's out there. And it's just this anonymous group of people that you cannot control their judgment of you. So we can talk about that.
Yeah.
That's one part. But when you think about your personal brand, so you want to, it sounds like one part of it is you want to be seen for who you are authentically as a human.
Yes.
Love that. Second thing is, okay, what happens as a result of that? Do you get more clients as a result of that? Do you maybe get a book opportunity? Do you get invited to certain rooms? Do you get to hang out with the foremost expert at your field? Like, what happens? Like, any of those hitting?
Yeah.
Yeah? You want all those? Okay, good. Okay, perfect.
All that stuff.
Okay, good. So that's actually kind of what you want to put on your goals slide then, is you would want to map out like most important goal for you is maybe if it's PT related, you're like, I want to work with X amount of people, or I want to work with the top athletes in the sport, right? Let's say you have a goal of you just love a certain Olympian and you're like, I want to be that person's PT, right? Could be something like that. So that could be your number one goal. Second is like, okay, well, I want to be seen as the number one expert on X particular thing. Okay, and what else? I want to be able to step into rooms with like these 3 to 5 people and have them see me as very valuable. Just as an example, right? Let's say those are your goals. They dictate this. So if you're saying, well, is posting tennis bad? I'd be like, well, if you're trying to become a tennis coach, or if you're trying to work, right? If you're trying to work with the number one tennis expert and you're like, I suck at tennis, and you're kind of like flailing at it, like maybe that would be a bad thing in that instance.
Yes.
Nothing is inherently like right or wrong. And this is why I think so many people find it challenging, is because we're creating their own rules for ourselves here. That's why you've got to define this. For me, it's like for me to serve a female audience, which is primarily who I serve, it's not wrong that I like to shoot guns. That's totally fine. Some people like it, some people don't. I just don't show it because it doesn't support my goals. Women don't connect with that. Does that make sense?
100%.
Okay, good.
Question.
Go for it.
I'm having a hard time, so my fear is being offensive to people on my social media. So
Yes.
I'm having a hard time delineating then between like fear of judgment versus fear of offending somebody,
Yep.
right? Like as somebody who treats primarily women
Mhm.
who have babies, like I
Mhm.
want to be very selective in the words that I'm choosing. That's
Yep.
why I have a hard time with content, not because I'm afraid of. I'm not afraid of Joe Schmo judging me. I don't give a crap, but I'm afraid of offending. So.
Okay. So this goes back to, we could go down a whole rabbit hole with this one. So this goes back to the question I would ask yourself when you're kind of alone with yourself is, when did that happen in your childhood? You saw someone offend someone, or someone offended you, or you offended someone, and there was a negative consequence that felt really shitty to you in childhood, I imagine. And so you learned like early on, or maybe in adulthood, you're like, offending someone is not okay. It's okay to offend someone, because all that offending someone is let's say I said something, let's say someone here is really against guns, right? That's a kind of a touchy topic. And let's say I'm like, well, I like to go shooting every now and then. That may have offended one of you. But the thing is, I'm not saying it offensively. I'm just stating something that is true. Something that is true may offend other people. But if it's true for you, what I want to make sure that I'm doing is I am actually acting in line with my values. My values are, I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to be kind. If that offends someone and you're acting in line with your values and you feel good about the way you're acting, the offense is totally on them. It's just them not being able to regulate their emotions. So what they might say, what's your name?
Courtney.
Okay, so what they might be thinking, let's say they see Courtney's post. Oh, she has this different opinion and I totally disagree with it. Okay, well, there's a lot of people in the world that have different opinions to you. Courtney's just one of them. They need to learn to regulate their emotions. And so that is why I think entrepreneurship and social media is such a big call to evolution as a person, as well as because we have to acknowledge that other people are their own humans. They will have emotions that we can't control. So long as you're operating in line with your values, you can feel really good about it. Does that make sense? Does that help at all a little bit? Cool.
As PTs, we're taught to use person-first language.
Okay.
Avoid labels.
Okay.
And never categorize.
Mhm.
And then in branding,
Yes.
we want to niche down, we want to call people out, we want
Yes.
to pull forward our target. So I think like the it depends that
Mm.
happens in the room. It's like, I don't want to share my opinion because it depends and I don't want anyone to ever see it.
Okay.
as different.
Okay, good context. So I think this goes back to the tennis example then. So if I want to attract a female audience, I don't share the gun thing because that would detract from my 3 goals, right? I help women with this. I know that majority of women probably won't like it, therefore I don't share it. It's strategic. But if I have an opinion that will support my values and support my business objectives, I will freely share it. So you just have to identify, and this is where a little of the strategy comes in, right? Let's say you have a super polarizing opinion that is actually going to help you stand out from all the other PTs, that makes you the natural born choice to go to because you think about this thing differently. For instance, I'll give you an example. I work with, one of my clients was also my health coach, Vince. And he has this very polarizing perspective about women that have weight loss resistance. And he's like, you don't need to cut calories, you don't need to do this. You also don't need more supplements, it's your genetics. And so he intentionally aggravates all the other people in his industry that are saying, you know, it's functional, how it's this, that, and the other, right? Is he right or wrong? We don't know. It's just his perspective, and he believes in it, and it's his value. But it's also supporting his business goal, because everyone that's tried all the supplements, all the other things, and it hasn't worked, now they see him, and they're like, oh, maybe it's actually this thing that I need. So there's a strategic element to it of like, where do I intentionally want to go against the grain? And where does it not make sense? And I'm just painting a target on me to actually lose some of the opportunities that I want to gain from this brand. Does that make sense? Okay. Be strategic, yeah. Yeah, and there is a lot of thought to it. But when you have the map, like when you actually just sit down, this is my map. And it's also who I am. So it's very easy. Like if you're trying to create a personal brand that's not you, it's gonna be impossible to adhere to, right? Like if I had a personal brand where like I always wore makeup, that's not me. Like most of the time I'm not. Exactly.
Like we've seen people online who are like, that person's fucking fake.
Exactly, right?
We know exactly who.
Exactly. So the more you actually accept yourself for who you are and be willing to share the parts that are strategic, then the more it actually shines. Like I stared at Stephanie when I came in, I'm like, how's swearing in this room? Is that cool? Because that's me, that's who I am. Like it just naturally, I'm Australian.
You got your answer.
Yeah, it's great. I love this room. Certain rooms.
And now she's offended.
Yeah. Everyone's traumas are coming out. It's great.
I didn't even view her.
So yes, you do want to be strategic about it, but you also want to lean into who you are naturally. And when you have a map, it's also connected to who you are naturally. It feels effortless. It feels easy. But without the map, and this is the first time you're seeing this, right? So of course you're going to be like, oh my God, my head is spinning.
I think too, and I think this just goes right along with what Stephanie was saying. As PTs, we are taught, don't talk about politics, don't talk about religion, don't talk about anything like sexual, right? And so, because you're going to, everything is very neutral.
Yep.
Red, blue,
Yep.
whatever. So you, and being in small business, if my patient doesn't like that I wish Obama was back in office, right?
Yep.
That's just it. And then all of a sudden, they're gone. All my
Yep.
patients that potentially disagree with that are gone.
Yep.
So would you, I mean, I don't see like anything
Did you stay away from those
political
two?
up there.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I have political views. I'm never going to share them.
Yeah.
You know why? I'm going to divide 50% of my customers now. Right?
So, yes, so I think sometimes like, I think that gets stuck in our head because we immediately go to that.
Mm-hmm.
Like not even talking about it, but just that fear that I'm going to alienate someone. I'm going to immediately say that person, that my therapist thinks that way, and therefore I don't want to be their patient anymore. And then
Perfect
you lose
example.
business.
Perfect example. So that's something where, again, I imagine that some of these goals are going to be similar to mine. Support your business, attract great people to work with and customers, and also like get in rooms that are cool. So if those are your goals, sharing your political views probably doesn't help that unless you want to get in certain political rooms, right? Or you want to start a political YouTube channel or something. For me, I don't want to do any of that. I want to stay as far away from that as possible. I never share that. And immediately you're just dividing people, and that's not a part of my brand. So that's why I don't share any of that. That's a thing to keep personal. But an example of a polarizing belief that could support you is, let's say, and I don't know your industry as well as some, but let's say that there is a popular belief in medicine where you get given a diagnosis and that just is what it is, right? Like I'm using my partner who was previously had cancer as an example here. He got given a diagnosis, they gave him X amount of time, and a lot of people just accept the diagnosis. I know I broke my shoulder, same thing. PT was like, this is gonna take X amount of time. You'll never be able to raise your arm above your head. I'm good now. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay, so here's a good example then. I snapped the whole head of my shoulder off horse riding. It was literally upside down. It was quite an x-ray. And when I had 2 surgeries on it, they're like, yeah, you're never gonna get above 180 again. We've seen this over and over. Me, I don't accept victimhood. I don't settle. And I was like, fuck this, I'm gonna do it. So I was doing all my exercises, the little stair thing, everything. Now I'm good. I've lost like 2% range of motion, but that's it. So if I saw that PT super indoctrinated into the status quo, and then I saw one of you guys on Instagram that was like, if you've been given a diagnosis and they tell you X, fuck that, right? Or however you want to say it, I would be like, heck yeah, I want to work with you. So that's an example of how to be polarizing where it also supports your objectives of getting clients. Does that make sense? Not necessarily have to go into political views. In fact, I probably advise you to stay away from that. All right, this is gonna make it a little bit easier for you. So once we know what we wanna happen, we also understand what our associations are, what our values are, what we're gonna show basically through our content. We wanna define our avatars, which you'll probably be familiar with through your business. And I have two. I advise starting with just one. If you have one of your goals of your personal brand is I wanna bring in more clients, then naturally it makes sense to create content that is going to bring in more clients. Just like in that example that I just gave you, if you wanna bring in more clients that are motivated, that are like, I'm not accepting the status quo, I'm gonna do all the work, I'm in it for the long run with you, then you would wanna define that avatar. So if I were that avatar for you, okay, it's someone who's had a catastrophic injury, they have been given a diagnosis, they have hopes, dreams, fears, and blockers. This is how I'm gonna attract them, that I'll get into in a second. And my offer is my PT services, right? So first thing you wanna start with is think of your client in your business who's like the dream client. You're like, if I had all of those people, I would love it. Does anyone come to mind for you guys? Yeah? It's best to, like, these are actual clients of mine. It's best to name it as someone that you've worked with because that person's so real to you. Like, you know exactly what they were thinking, all their struggles. So give them a name. Why this matters is because when I sit down to film a YouTube video or create any content, on the top of that script or that document that I've written out, okay, this is the piece of content that we're creating, it has who's it for. So I literally think, I have a client called Carrie, and she was very confused when she came to me. And so I think of her when I'm creating the content. And instead of speaking to this void of online, I'm just having a chat with Carrie. That's all it is. And so if you have a client that comes to mind, I would name them. If you can give them like a little fun nickname as well, like it kind of helps. You're like, oh yeah, Carrie's confused. She doesn't know what's going on. Then you want to have a description. So this is my description of Carrie. She wants to build a personal brand and make money online. She vaguely has a niche and an offer. It's not making sales. She's not growing. She's confused on why, what to do. She's insecure, starting to think it's her. Scattered, fear of being seen, inconsistent imposter syndrome. You can see how a presentation like this speaks pretty well to Carrie, right? So a lot of everything that I create is for one or the other of my avatars. So just like a couple sentences of this perfect client. Next thing, you want to map out their hopes. So this is what they hope to happen in their life. So for me, when I broke my shoulder, I hope to restore full range of motion and to have a great life. For Carrie, she wants to quit her job, have stable income online, like 10K plus months, and get inbound opportunities and clients. Now, what are her dreams? And dreams are different to hopes because what we hope to happen actually creates an effect in our life. So if she's able to quit her job, have a stable income, what does she get? She really desires time freedom, financial freedom, connection, and fun, right? No one's really in love with the process of creating financial freedom. They want something as a result of it. So same thing, I wasn't in love with the process of PT to heal my shoulder, but I wanted to be able to do handstands again. I wanted to be able to work out however I wanted to work out and not have this impediment for the rest of my life. So hopes and dreams are slightly different, and they can just be a few words. What do they fear? So Carrie fears being seen, looking stupid, failing, not making enough money, struggling financially, responsibility, and doing it all alone. And what's blocking her from getting her hopes and her dreams is she has a bad niche and offer, no leads, no visibility, her mindset gets in the way, she's inconsistent, she lacks emotional capacity, short-term thinking, no sales system, fear of sales, skill gap, content sales, and mindset, right? Yeah, potentially, confuse Courtney. It might be after today. No, but that's what you want someone to say when they see your content, right? Is that me? It's not, when people say personal brand, they think like, oh, it's all about Amy. It's all about Amy, the Amy show. And when you create like that, you're trying to become an influencer, that's when it's really personal, when it doesn't hit. Because I'm like, look at my day today, and no one cares. It's like, okay, I must suck, right? But if you're creating content to help Carrie or to help your version of Carrie, it's so different. Like, I just show up and I speak to Carrie. I just show up and I create content for Emily or Carrie, and that's it. And there's parts of that where, yeah, I do show my life, but I'm thinking through it of the lens of one of these two people. For instance, I know that, let's say I wanted to create a story on the way here, because we just drove across Florida to get here, I had some time. Let's say I wanted to do that. I'm not gonna be like, me. What I could do is be like, on the way to an event, got this actually, this connection through showing up online, through being visible. Crazy the things that can happen when you're, proud enough to be visible or whatever. Obviously, I would word that in a different way, but I would think about it's for her to see so that she can see something that's inspiring for her. Instead of, got my hair done today, right? Like it's different. So you want to map these things out. Now, the important thing about hopes, dreams, blockers, and fears is this is where your hooks of your content. So you know when you see people delivering face to camera and they've got a little like text hook above it, you know those pages you get sucked into where it feels like everything is directly talking to you? It's because they're depicting your hopes, dreams, fears, or blockers in their hooks all the time, either in the first few words that they say, in what you're seeing, or in the text that's above. This is how you become incredibly magnetic to your ideal client, is you're not just showing up and going, okay, I have authority on software, so I'm going to talk about software. Like, I know a lot about software. I rarely talk about it because it relates to like 0 female founders, pretty much. What I talk about is this stuff because it relates to so many more people, and that's what I can help them with. So for you, instead of like thinking about all of these things that are going on in your practice and what you know, actually wake up and think, what does Carrie need to hear today? What does Courtney need to hear today? And it's going to make it a lot more magnetic. And then know what the offer is. The offer that you have, which is probably your PT services, should solve all these things for them and help get them to their dreams and hopes. Yeah.
I think with this, I'm having a little confusion of differentiating my business from my personal brand.
Mm-hmm.
I was exactly thinking that.
Is it?
Like if we're like, oh, like, blah, 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 I'm getting married. Oh, by the way, if you have hand pain, like, I guess I'm just like.
If your ring is stuck on your finger, like.
Yeah.
And it was funny and it got a lot of likes, but yeah, like I guess I'm like, what do I post on personal versus business?
Okay, so give me an example of like, who's your ideal client?
Artists, musicians with hands, like nerve complex pain.
Okay, perfect. And are there parts of have you had that as a part of your story? Is that why you're passionate about it?
No, but I'm very creative and I do a lot of creative things.
Okay, perfect. So I imagine that there are parts of your life, things that you do with your hands that you could share that,
Yes.
yeah. So there's parts that you want to share. There's also parts that don't have to be related, that are just like, oh, okay, that's who she is as a human. That's cool. But you want that to be like 10% of your content. So let's say you get married. That's a pretty big life event. People share that regardless of what industry they're in. It's like, oh, Amy got married. How nice. That's adorable. But you want like the majority to be somehow related to this person. We're going to get into content formats, which will probably kind of drill this down a little bit more for you. But what kind of content are you creating now? Are you creating anything?
Not personally. I just post like engagement photos.
Okay.
Proposal photos.
Okay, cool.
So it's like annoying.
Okay. it's
No, my personal.
okay.
Not dexterity. Dexterity, so my business, I post all about like creative, like hands, pain, blah, blah.
Okay.
So I'm getting confused now.
Okay, perfect. So tell me, what are your goals? Like beyond just fueling the business, is there other things that you want to be seen as? Okay, so what are those?
Being invited to like concerts and seeing, like being, like I had a patient who like called me out at a concert and I went and like it was so fun, like stuff like that,
Yeah.
like cultural experiences.
Okay.
Just like seeing people do cool things, honestly.
Okay, cool. So we will need to define it a little bit further because there's a lot of people in the world. So which people?
That was such a Maggie answer.
Yeah, it's a creative answer. It's good. So we need to define like which people need to see you a certain way for those experiences to happen.
Like if Elton John had hand pain,
Okay, cool. So for him to see you, like let's say Elton John's on your page, what would he need to see to be like, oh, this chick, I want to invite her out. She's really valuable. She's cool.
I'll also just say that half of us, or all of us at some point, have been the only one within our brand. So it's hard for
That's
us
right,
sometimes to.
Yeah.
And we are the ones giving the service
Yeah.
for our brand. So it's really hard to differentiate like what should be on a business page, which is what we're like creating, and it's still just us, and we are the ones touching you quite literally every day, to being like, and also I took a dance class.
Yeah.
Like,
So you can have it as two different things. For me personally, like I have business pages, but I don't run any traffic through them because I know that they always perform worse than me personally. So mine are integrated. Like my personal brand is where I get all my clients. It's what fuels all the businesses. With MemberUp, however, it's a company that I'm building to sell. And so it has its own traffic sources, but you bet your ass I'm going to push traffic to it as well, right? So the question is like, are you building a business to exit? If so, you want to decouple the traffic from the business. If not, it makes the most sense to put them together because you're going to get way more clients than the generic PT page. If it's Courtney, the expert at this one specific thing, oh my God, I broke my shoulder, I need Courtney, right? Instead of, oh, I need PTs of Arkansas, right? Like you don't think like that. You're like, oh yeah, I follow this chick. She actually talks about how to heal that ligament, right? Or whatever it might be. So the question is like, how many of you are actually aiming to exit your business and sell? Yeah?
We started this whole thing yesterday.
Okay.
This conversation.
Well, I think the big thing is a lot of us kind of want to step back essentially in our business and not be the face of our business.
Yeah.
So, but because physical therapy is so personable,
Mm-hmm.
like they're gonna see that. Clients are like, no, I wanna go see her. I don't
Yep.
wanna see somebody else in her business. I wanna
Yep.
see her.
But I'm not taking clients.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so it's like, okay, I post all this content and build this whole personal brand, and then they're gonna call my business and be like, but wait, no, I wanna see her. I don't wanna see this other
How
therapist.
often do you see my face on House of PT's page?
I don't know, because
Once every 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
I'm still behind that. It's still all of my messaging, but my face is most present on my personal brand, which is connecting with all of you, which also brings PTs who want to work at my practice.
I think as well, something that might help this discussion a little bit is thinking about your business as a system. So like I'm only one person. I have a whole team behind me because we support so many people. And so I need to basically refer authority to my team. When you work with me, you get a little bit of me, yes, but you get my team that are trained on all my systems. I have made more me's. And so the question is like, do you have a team that you can refer authority to? Great. So do that in your content. My team are all trained on the XYZ method. The XYZ method is how you achieve X result, right? Like I have the CreatrBusiness content system. They're all trained in it. You see the biggest people, the way that they're able to impact the most is by having these unique mechanisms in their business, the systems that are unique to them. And that's why you're not like, oh, I need to go work with, I don't know, Elon Musk personally or Grant Cardone if you're familiar with him in real estate personally. You're like, yeah, I'm going to a seminar with his team. They're all trained, they work in his business. That's when then you can get real time leverage because you can promote the thing, but then they're not working directly with you, they're working with your team. And you can just kind of come in for the hero hour and then leave. So you can do it like that, but the real question for me comes back to, are you gonna exit this business? Is that the primary goal of decoupling the traffic?
It's just so bizarre. I just feel like this is like way up here, and I'm like way down here. Like
Okay.
you're talking about like a book or like somebody wants to call. I'm like, that has never even crossed my mind. Like that somebody would contact me on social media to be like, hey, I want you to come talk to this group of people.
Until now.
Yeah.
But it's making me question, like, is that something that I would even want to do? Because I don't even know if I would even want to do that.
But
Like,
that depends on your goal.
Yeah,
it depends on your goal,
yeah.
right? And like, I just want, right now, I just have my little business and my stay-at-home mom and I, and not.
And that's the thing, right? And that's
Yeah.
okay, because we all have different goals.
Right.
Everyone's version of success, I think, looks very different. But if you raised your hand at the start and you said you wanted all the things that come from a personal brand, okay, if you didn't, then maybe that's your answer. Maybe that is your answer. And you're like, I don't. And that's great. That's totally good. Not everyone has to want this.
Right.
And I think the more you understand about a topic, the more you can wholeheartedly say, heck yeah, I'm in, or screw that, I'm out. I don't want that. The challenge lies in where you want the results of the thing, but you're not willing to do the thing. And so long as people are okay with the consequences of their actions, which there's no right or wrong, just because I've done it and I love it and it works for me, someone else's version of success looks totally different. And so it's about just owning what you want and also making the right decisions that are gonna get you there. So if you can run, like if your goal is like, I don't ever wanna be online, I can make the money that I want without being online, and I wanna live a life that doesn't require any of these things and wouldn't be fast-tracked by it, cool, that's great. Like you don't have to want this at all. You can just kind of be like, okay, I'm gonna put these tools in my tool belt, and if I ever want it, great. And if you do want it, what I see a lot of people actually get tripped up by is they do want it, but their identity has just never actually allowed them to think of themselves as the personal brand. And this is an evolution that I've had to go through. Like, I've been doing this for 16 years, and Hunter and I just the other day, we're going on a walk, and I'm like, my vision is expanding. Holy shit, I don't see myself as the person that could actually warrant the result that I want. And so I'm like, why not? Well, because I'm not acting like that person. Okay, I'll just start acting like that person, and your actions become who you are over time. But we have to consciously override the identity that we have in our own mind about ourselves. Otherwise, it just becomes ingrained, and that's how you live your whole life. And so it's not that you have to like more, have to write the book, all that stuff. But if you want, those things are available to you. And all it is just shifting your mindset and seeing that you could be that person. And so the biggest exercise, like I go for a walk every morning, and we do like a little identity check-in. And I'm like, all right, like, am I acting in line with my identity? And so for me, it's $100 million CEO. Like, that's the goal, sell MemberUp for 9 figures. Am I acting in line with that? Okay, yeah, at the moment I am. Sometimes the answer is being, oh, fuck, I'm not. And then I'm like, all right, well, what do I do about that? I change my behavior. And if I act a certain way for a long period of time, it just becomes who I am. And that's the prison that we keep ourselves trapped in, is what we think about ourselves in our own mind. So for you, like, if that's not a prison for you and you're like, I feel great here, then you've already won. You don't need any of this. But where I find most people sit is that they want a lot of the things, but their identity just hasn't caught up, and it limits them from having what they want. So that's kind of a meditate on it and see where you land type of thing. But this isn't for everyone. You know, the world has all different kinds of people, and it's up to you to decide what success looks like for you.
I think the other thing that's a little bit challenging is, like, because we are hands-on PTs, like, we have a very small community in which we can be present. Right?
Yeah.
So for me, I'm in Minneapolis.
Mm-hmm.
My target market is surrounding Minneapolis.
Yep.
I don't need to target somebody in like Nashville. So,
Yep.
But do I still need to have this large, you know,
It's a good question.
to still be my small area that I'm
Depends on your goals. So if the only goal is like, I just want to get clients from my immediate local practice, maybe you don't need it. It might benefit from having some, but maybe you don't need it. If your goal is different to that, let's say you're like, well, actually, I want to decouple my income from the practice. I want to bring in an extra 30 grand a month profit. And I want that to be online, so I don't have to go into the office, and I don't want to have a team around it. I just want it to be me personally. Then you can do that all online through a personal brand. So there's also another decision for you guys, because you have in-person practices of, do you want to bring your income online additionally or later or ever? Do you want to, let's say you sell the business, or you bring on a partner, the business is all totally managed. Like, we're all business owners, so we get pretty bored with free time. Like, what are we gonna do, right? Like, what lights you up? Like, none of us are cut out to just like play golf until we retire. So what inspires you? Like, for me, I'm grateful that I could have been at the place where, and I did for several years, I started riding horses because I got bored. And I started building the horse thing into a business. I started importing and selling horses, and I'm like, all right, I'm just meant to have a business. I like this stuff. So the question really is a deep one, because it's like, well, what do you want out of life? There are many things that a personal brand accelerates. Business is one of them. Opportunities is another one. Money is another one. But if you can get your goals without any of this, that's cool too. So it's just deciding what you want. And that's the bigger question that I think not a lot of people are 100% clear on. So that's why we did a little like 30-second, what's your 3 to 5 year vision? But also like, what's your 10-year, 20-year vision? For me, I know that I'm always gonna wanna have a business. I'm always gonna wanna impact people. I'm always gonna wanna make money, and I wanna protect myself as AI comes in. For me, it makes so much sense. This is how I do it. For someone else, it may not, and that's totally cool. All right, so we've got our avatars. Next thing is the core message. Now, the core message is basically when you go on someone's page, what sense do you get from them? So for me, I'll give you an example. I have 2 different avatars, but let's just say we have one for now. When you watch enough of my content, you should, and this is like your marketing message, you should get the perspective, oh, you don't need to go viral or have more followers. You just need to keep it simple, have a premium offer, a good niche, good messaging, and a sales system that actually converts. That's what Carrie actually needs. And so a lot of my content has that messaging in it. What makes that very appealing, and this, you can use this in your business too. What makes a marketing message very appealing is, if you want this outcome, you don't have to do all this stuff that you thought you had to do. You just need to do this instead. For instance, in PT, if you want, like, what's someone's dream outcome in one of your practices? What would you say?
I feel like they
Okay. Cool. So going back to the gym. If you want to be able to feel your best, get back to full health again, XYZ, what do they think they have to do? Like, what's something that you disagree with in the industry?
Work out an hour a day.
Yeah. Yeah, or I don't know.
Get
surgery.
A million supplements.
Yes.
And
Okay.
take cortisone injections.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Cortisone injections are perfect. My mom has a bunch of them and she hates it. So this is one I know. Okay, so if you want to feel good again, you don't need to go and take endless supplements, spend all your money on this and get endless cortisone injections. What you need to do is actually,
Strengthen.
there you go. Now, what if we, instead of strengthen, we coined it as your unique mechanism? So you actually just need the
MIMS method.
there you go, literally.
Now, what is the MIMS method?
Yeah, so you see like all these mobility coaches on Instagram, right? And it's like Hunter, you follow one. What's that lady that has the bowls?
Jill Miller and Yoga Tune-Up.
Yeah, Jill Miller.
Yoga Tune-Up.
It's the Miller method, right?
It's the Yoga Tune-Up method, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Back to what you were saying earlier, it's like separating brand and personal brand. She's tagging as the personal brand. Yoga Tune-Up is the parent company. She speaks through it, and then she's able to teach yoga instructors her methodology. She basically just teaches people how to do like fashion work with balls.
Yeah.
Which is not new to anybody, but she coined it, and then she workshops, sells the balls.
Yeah.
Puts content out, probably works with athletes, that you don't hear about behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Just one example.
Exactly. So her unique mechanism is like, oh, you don't need to, maybe do PT work or whatever it is, or you don't need endless massages or supplements. You just need to fix your fascia. Yeah, your fascia's tight. That is incredibly attractive to a consumer. When you can create a core marketing message like this, for instance, we've all seen the ads, right? Oh, you want a six-pack ab? You don't need to eat salads and cut your calories. You just need the at-home ab system, right? Like the QVC commercials. Yeah, I wish it worked. But that is like a very, very strong way to put together a marketing message. You can use this in your business, you can use this in your personal brand. And when you land, I can give you an example of this too. When you land on someone's profile, it should be instantly clear in their pinned post. So we're gonna actually, now's the perfect time to jump into someone's pinned post, because I have examples for you, and show you what this actually looks like in practice. All right, we're gonna use a health example here. So, this chick, I don't know her, but she's doing great. Be Balanced by Michaela, right? So she's a functional health coach. She thyroid, gut, hormones, etc. And she has abs, right? Okay, so perfect. Dream outcome. Knowing your avatar's dream outcome. She knows that the dream outcome is to look lean and healthy, right? Why does anyone go to a functional health person? Most of the time, they want to look and feel their best. She certainly looks like she looks and feels her best, right? So that is what is depicted in the imagery. But when I actually click on her first pinned post here, here's an example, hopefully this isn't too loud, of how to actually add this core message into your content. So I'm Michaela, I've lost 40 pounds with PCOS and hypothyroidism before and after. I was struggling with my health, I was gaining weight, I was chronically fatigued, I saw every single traditional doctor you could possibly imagine. All of them told me that I just needed to take medication for the rest of my life, and that was just part of being a woman. The first big step in my healing journey was getting actual lab testing done. That told me why I was experiencing every single symptom. She got the Dutch test, she got the labs. I tested my hormones, looked at my gut microbiome, looked at my metabolic health. I had cortisol issues, insulin resistance, my thyroid was a mess, my gut needed major support. And this was after years of traditional doctors telling me that everything was normal, follow along for part 2 to learn more about my gut healing journey. So from that, right, what is her core message? Did anyone pick up on it?
That she's been through it too.
Yes, definitely she's saying I've been through it, look at my before and afters.
It's like the traditional tests don't work, you need this specific.
Yeah.
Follow me to find out what I did.
If you want to look and feel like her, if you want to heal from, she said, PCOS and hypothyroidism. So if you're a woman who's dealing with these imbalances, these things that you don't know how to control, the doctors have told you that you just need to take medication forever. I recognize that that wasn't the solution. I needed functional health. What is she? A functional health person, right?
Does anyone recognize that story arc from the first person bios that you wrote yesterday?
So,
You asked what to do with
I was
it.
just thinking
This is
that.
what to do with it.
Yeah.
mm-hmm. So this is like it in practice. So you can see she says, comment heal to learn more about how I healed, and you can too. And like, this just continues to go on forever. She has thousands of comments on this. These are all inbound leads that want to heal, sometimes spelling it incorrectly.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
Julia did not get a DM.
No, they did not get the DM. But that's how you depict this core message, right? So behind the scenes, I bet you, she has a brand guide, she knows what she's doing, that says, okay, my avatar is someone who's gaining weight, they don't know why, they've been through a traditional doctor, they're not getting answers, they don't want to take medication forever. So her message, her core message is, you don't need to do that. You actually need to find the root cause. How do you do that? With functional nutrition. And what is her offer? Functional nutrition. So that's how you can actually embody it. So you want to take a counter position. So for me, it's like, I'm very anti, it's probably not coming across too much in this room, but in my content it will, is I'm very anti like, oh, we need to manifest and feel in our feelings before we actually take action. I'm like, no, you need to actually do it. You need a system. Because there's so many marketers nowadays selling like feelings as a result. And so my counter position to all of these like females that are being sold this lie is I'm like, no, dude, you don't need to feel different. You need a freaking system that works. So that's my counter position. And so when people come to my page, they're like, oh, this is refreshing. And it will repel the people who want to feel too, which is the clients I don't want to work with. Not that I'm against feelings, by the way. Feelings are great, just not in your business. They're not a business strategy. So your core message is basically, if you want to write this down, it's like, if you want extreme outcome, here's the normal stuff that you're told you need to do, but here's actually my counter position on what you actually need, which is your services, your offer. If you can come up with that and ideally give it a name too, like this can just be, if you don't even want a personal brand, this can just be in your business and make your business content even better. Like what is that unique mechanism, that the Jill Miller method or yoga tune-up method? Like what is that for you? Instead of just saying strengthen, because then they can go on ChatGPT. How do I strengthen my lower body? Why do they need to work with you? Oh, because it's the Amy Sangster method that got her this outcome, and I know that because I've seen her story over and over again. It's like,
Could you just say it one more time?
Yes. If you want extreme outcome, you don't need to do X things they think they need to do but don't want to do. So in this instance, it was like take medication. You actually just need my unique mechanism, which is your counter position. Even if you take nothing else away from today and you just use this on your business page and you pin some posts and now you coin your unique system that your PT services have, guarantee you'll get more conversion. People are going to see it and be like, oh, this is different. This is different to all the other PTs out there. That's why I want to work with them. All right. This I don't want to go into too much, but this is behind the scenes of mine. Like, you want to define one channel. I have like many going on because I've been doing this for 16 years. My general rule of thumb is one marketing channel, one offer to $1 million. Until you have actually done that, like you do not need more. I have friends that make $1.3 million a month, one marketing channel, one Instagram account. You can scale, if you're very intentional, you can scale one channel very, very big.
Can you say one more time what the goal is for it? Say it. It's one channel.
Okay, one marketing channel. So like, okay, LinkedIn's my marketing channel, or Instagram's my marketing channel, TikTok. You don't want to try and do all this stuff all at once because you're just going to overwhelm yourself and you're not actually going to have any movement in any area. Master one platform, and that should be where your avatar is. One core offer. So that's probably going to be your PT services. If you can name it with a unique mechanism, I would love it even more, to $1 million. Until you've done that, you don't need to do any more. It's actually a sign that you need to perfect that a whole lot more.
That training was so helpful. Right before you walked in, the question was, that I said one-to-one PT services is your main focus.
Yep.
Do not get distracted until.
Yep.
And they were asking, okay, well, when can we build some of these supplementary offers? When
Yep.
can we do group? When can we do wellness? So that
$1 million.
training is perfect.
Yeah.
And are you saying that that number is through the revenue that we're getting from the business or offer that we already have, or that number through the specific channel that we're using?
So through the channel, ideally. So what I normally teach people is how to actually bring your expertise online. So let's say you build a personal brand and you're bringing your expertise online. Now you have an online program, group coaching program, something like that, where you're able to help people at scale. Then I would say, we're going to run one Instagram account. We're going to have one offer. We're going to make it as good as possible. We're going to make it so valuable to that avatar. We're going to run it to $1 million before we do anything else. Because what happens is people are like, oh, I want to write a book, and I want to have podcasts, and I want to do all these things. And before you know it, they're burnt out, and they're so far from their original goal, which was freedom. So if you cannot get your offer on one channel to $1 million, then you either have a pricing problem, a vehicle problem, or a focus problem. So that's why you want to ruthlessly focus on that and just perfecting that channel, perfecting that offer, and perfecting the pricing model.
Wait, sorry, I don't think I understood the answer to Brady's question. So does that mean $1 million of PT services?
No, $1 million on that.
Yeah, $1 million through this channel.
Like a corporation's paying you? Sorry, I don't know if that.
No. Okay, so if you were to build a personal brand, it's slightly different. So if you were just going to run your business account, then it's kind of like you're just going to be doing it anyway, right?
Yeah.
And I guarantee you're probably not going to be adding on more offers in your business because you just have one. It's one-to-one PT services.
Yeah.
Great, that's pretty simple. If you're going to go online, now let's say you start to do the Jill Miller thing and you're like, I have this mobility method that's going to help this avatar, and I'm going to start selling digital products, group coaching, one-to-one coaching online. That's when then I would say, do one offer, one marketing channel, so one Instagram account, scale it to $1 million before doing anything else.
But when you say scale it, sorry, can you explain it to me like a 5-year-old?
No,
What
please.
is scaling it to $1 million? Is that like a grip person being like, I'm going to pay you to advertise, or what does $1 million mean?
Okay, so let's say you started a group coaching program, right? So instead of just being able to serve people in your local area, you're like, my method I want to serve people all over the world that have this one problem. So what's the one problem that you solve very well, better than anyone?
Like nerve pain.
Okay, great. So I imagine, and where are you from?
New York.
Okay, so I imagine that there's going to come a time and a place, maybe, if it's aligned with your goals, where you're like, okay, a lot of people have nerve pain in the world. I'm freaking good at this. I want to be able to help people outside of New York that can't get to the practice, and I want to make more money. Cool. I'm going to build a personal brand. And as a part of that, I'm going to build maybe an online group coaching program or a digital product. Maybe it's a 8-week nerve restoration program, whatever that might be. What can be really tempting when you jump into that side of things is, I'm going to build the nerve restoration program, but I'm also going to launch a podcast, but I'm also going to do this course, but I'm also going to write the book. It's too much stuff. So if you are doing an online model, keep it to if you were like, yeah, I want to make more money and I want to do the nerve restoration program. Great, we're going to do that. And you're going to have one Instagram account and you're going to sell enough people into that until you hit $1 million before you do any more.
And this would be following my one-on-one care that's successful, which is our primary. So this is the first try at like an online thing.
Or you could change your mind and just kind of do online.
Yeah.
If you want to go online.
Yeah.
If you're online in any capacity, making
do a lot
$1
of
million from revenue that was produced online.
Yeah.
And that's from either an actual human paying you money for this
Yeah.
Or what she's doing right now, like being here.
Yeah.
I'm just like zooming out what Stephanie was saying.
What I was saying right before you came in was, before we go into all of the online business,
Yeah.
and everyone leaves here and tries to start a membership model,
Yeah.
make sure that we always go back to one-to-one PT services is your primary.
Yeah.
And there's a point, Brittany has removed herself, she has employees.
Amazing.
She can
Yeah.
now reallocate her time to this. Ashley is almost there.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Maggie is in the first year of business.
Cool.
She is, right?
Yep.
So
So there's a time and a place.
you're not there yet,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean
But you
that
could
you
if you
can't
But it's
learn.
good to know these, but I guess I'm just stepwise.
Yeah.
So I'm not okay.
But also now could be a time when you're not necessarily putting a product online, but you're building the brand of showing that you do pottery, showing that you are
Yeah, you
doing
could be
other
doing those
things in
initial
New York
steps.
City and whatever that you like before you're selling a product, so that you can get people knowing who you are.
Yeah. So I think about it like this. What is your overall goal as a human? Big question. So for me, I was when I was in my earlier 20s, I didn't think I was going to build a software company. I was like, screw being a billionaire and all that stuff. I was like, that's not for me. I don't want to do that. As I got older, I was like, I love the game of business. I want to challenge myself. Can I get to 100 million? So that then became my goal. And I was like, okay, well, the vehicle I'm in won't get me there. I need a new vehicle. What gets me there? Software exit. Right. Well, I mean,
It did though.
It did. It definitely did. It was a good marketing tool. Back in the day. It's overdone now. But I needed a new vehicle to get me to my goal. So you just have to define, like, what are your personal financial goals? And will that vehicle get you there? And if I'm in the first year of business and I'm still just figuring out how to make this one business work, I'm not going to start thinking about the $100 million goal just yet. But if I were in a room like this and I was learning about, like, software exits, I'm like, I'm going to take that, I'm going to put it in my pocket because I might have a $100 million goal one day, and that's the way I can get there. So if you have a goal of having more time freedom, scaling beyond the initial one-to-one practice, making, I would argue, more money because you can serve more people in less time and at a higher profit margin without all of the overhead. If you have that goal, then building a personal brand and selling something like the nerve restoration program is a great next step when you're ready for it. If it's going to detract from what you're trying to achieve right now, like, you got to hit that first milestone first. So yes, to your point, like, put this in your pocket if you're not ready for it right now. But at the same time, if you're like, yeah, that's definitely something I want to do, well, I'm just going to start posting so that when I get there, I already have this audience of people.
Like Brett was saying,
Yeah.
setting it up.
Exactly. Yes.
So what about like a simpler goal with the personal brand in the beginning? So this is a little example, but I'm curious if you think this is valuable or not. It's like, no, you need the whole strategy, or it's like kind of just wait till you're ready. Right? So when I was first starting the business, I contacted a few different companies because I needed resistance training in a small amount of space. So Max Pro had just gone off of Shark Tank, and I just emailed them, and the owner called me and gave me a Max Pro, $700 piece of equipment, and just gave it to me. I didn't have any kind of social media presence or anything. It was just from like contact. But, you know, brand deals and equipment and things like that can be actually very valuable for a company. That one piece of equipment has served the company for 5 years now, and it's going strong, right? And so it replaced, even though it was worth $2,000, like, it would replace a lot more expensive equipment because it was really an innovative thing. So, like, from a bottom line profit margin, let's make this time turn into value quickly versus infinitely posting into the abyss, which I think is how, I don't want to speak for everyone, but how sometimes we can feel with marketing services. It's kind of different. Right? So is that worth time from like a social media platform, personal brand issue?
Good question.
I think that could be a value add right away.
Absolutely. And that's kind of a unique example that you guys have for your practices. So that could be one of your goals. Let's say you're starting a new practice and you're like, well, I don't want to pay for the equipment. I want brands to pay me to use their equipment. What would need to be true for that to be the case? Well, they'd need to get exposure as a part of that to make it warranted for them. So someone like Jill Miller, I bet, is able to go to any company and be like, hey, I'm going to post that I use the Max Pro. And they're going to be like, great, here it is, plus here's $100,000. And we want 6 posts from you that we can post on our page and give you more exposure just to associate you with our product. When you have a brand people want to associate with, it becomes valuable. So that could be your number one goal of your personal brand, is like, next practice I build, I'm not buying any of the equipment. What would need to be true? I'd need to have X amount of followers or X amount of reach, engagement, whatever that might be. And you could just go to those companies and be like, hey, what would you need to see to make this a valuable brand partnership? And then reverse engineer it and go from there. So that's a good example that's relevant just to this industry, just to your business, without building anything online.
The amount of things that Dan has gotten for our practice is like unbelievable.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
One of my PTs has 1.7 million followers. From just like talking about PT content. And he still works for me, thank God, because he needs consistent revenue. But and because he loves me, I guess. But
don't introduce him to me because I'm gonna get him out of there.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, I'm not like
Don't tell me this.
But I think that getting stuff like that, or like, I mean, he gets a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And not just stuff, but also like money to promote like non-acetaminophen Tylenol.
Yeah. And that's the usual thing.
But even like, that's my thing is like, okay, now, right, reverse engineering. What's the skill set, and you touched on this, to like So like Max Pro, for example, I got equipment, I met the owner, all this stuff, but I didn't know what to like do with it from there, and their marketing person wasn't great. So like I would follow up or post, but like nothing ever came from it, right? Because I didn't have the skill set and they didn't have the skill set.
Yeah.
But it's a great product. I still like the product.
Sounds like a good deal because they didn't need anything from you to really give it to you for free.
They didn't.
Yeah.
I probably had 50 posts at that point in time. Like I did not.
Yeah.
I was not important.
So if you want to reverse engineer the results of that, I would say like write down your dream brands that you want to like deck out your practice with.
Or get clothes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, whatever you want. That's the thing. Like when you have a brand, truly, like people will just line up because they want to be associated with it. So that's why, like, again, when you think of like, am I going to show myself shooting guns or talking about political stuff? No, because I'm probably going to dissuade certain people from wanting to work with me. But if the goal is just, getting equipment for your practice, write out those brands that you want all that equipment from, and then ask them, hey, do you have a partnerships person I can speak to? Hey, I'm building this brand intentionally. In the next 1 to 2 years, I want to be able to make this worth your while to be able to get this equipment from you. What would you need to see? Then you have a very tangible goal, and you've already started to develop the relationship, and you can go back to them and be like, I've done it. I'd like my free equipment now. And nicer than that.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a really good thing to bring up because that is very unique to you guys. But I mean, brand deals normally are not that good of a gig because you can just get paid like, is it Dan in your practice? Like he could be, man, I have 100,000 followers and I make over 6 figures profit a month doing what I do, and I'm not tied to anywhere and I can live a great life. With his, if he had the right systems, like he's selling brand deals, and that way you're kind of a slave to creating content for other people's benefit. Imagine why they would pay you to do that, because they get more benefit than you do. So if you just sell your own products, like the nerve recovery program, you're gonna make so much more. Yeah.
He has a book and he has 3 different programs that he does too.
Interesting. Yeah. He needs some more systems behind it. Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
Can you explain a little bit about the back end of, just because that we brought that up, that feels like a low entry point for some of us, and but a high return in some ways, because we're trying to keep all of our profit and not actually spend it on equipment. And I have a new clinic and I still would really like to buy some stuff, but I keep wanting to pay myself more. So I don't. Can you explain the back end on how people actually get paid for that stuff? Because you're like, oh, I have 100,000 followers, I get paid $100,000 a month. Wow.
Yep.
And then when you say people $1 million, I'm like, how does anyone make $1 million a month? Like, I should you're like,
if you guys stop talking and let me get the presentation.
You are afraid that we're going to be low energy at the end of the weekend. This is like the most energy.
This is great. This is exactly what the system looks like, and I'm glad you asked because it was coming, but we hadn't got there yet. No, this is good. We're kind of jumping around because I want it to be relevant to you guys and what you actually need. So, oh no, you're totally fine. You're good. You're good. No, this is good because normally, like my target, confused Carrie, she wants to build online. You guys are like a little bit different, where you're like, maybe I want to build online, maybe I just want to get free stuff for my practice. Who knows? But when you see the online model and what that looks like, man, is it hard to go back to brick and mortar. Like, what is the average profit margin on a PT practice?
Oh, the goal is 20%, but the average is 7%.
Okay, so if you want to make $1 million a year, you have to make at least 10 million, 12 million. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of clients served, right?
The average PT salary is 80,000. So everyone's here to make more than what they could make.
Great, you're gonna love this then. All right, so you'll hate me for this. I made 80,000 this month already. And I don't say that to brag.
No.
Yeah. But this is the thing, right? I don't say this to brag. I say this because it's not a difference in intelligence. It's a difference in model. That's it. And when I first wanted to get out of my bank job, I was like, I'll do any model. I don't care what it is. I started day trading. I started eBay businesses. I imported furniture. I had a horse business. I would do anything, right? I was just like, yeah. Yeah.
Day trading.
Oh, no. Yeah. I would do a lot, but not that. I would try anything. And I'm glad I had those experiences because it taught me what I like to call kind of the map of businesses, right? Where you're like, okay, there's a certain degree of complexity with this. There's a certain lifestyle associated with this. There's a certain profit margin associated with this. Online, having a personal brand, having what I call like a creator business where you create content, you have a business off the back end of it is by far the most profitable, most enjoyable, most impactful for me personally with my goals. Here's how it works. So essentially, I have an Instagram that I create content to attract and convert a clear niche of people. I have magnetic messaging in my posts that we kind of talked about, like each post is designed for Carrie or for Emily. And I also intentionally create it in a way to get DMs. Now this is what you don't see behind the scenes. And this is why I'm like so passionate about sharing it with people. This is why Dan isn't making the money he's making because he doesn't have systems. So, yeah, I won't.
Also, I don't know if he's making money, but maybe he just wants something.
Maybe he's just making bank, yeah. Dan's actually a billionaire.
Dan's actually making a shit ton more than his boss.
Exactly. So behind the scenes, what happens is I just have, this looks very complex. I just have these automated conversations that happen.
I just got one from you.
Exactly. Yeah. So some of it's automated, some of it's my team, right? So basically what I do each day, now that I've built the systems, you have to go through the building phase. Now that I've built the systems, I create content, I do my actual job, which is running MemberUp, and I do cool stuff like this. I get to connect with cool people. That content is very strategic, and it is designed to get DMs from qualified leads. So if you have the problem that I can solve, chances are you'll find a post on my page that resonates, and you're gonna end up in my inbox. When you get there, you're gonna also find your way onto my email list because I have systems to give you something that you want to get your email to get onto my email list. When you're there, you don't even need that. The email part's extra. Those friends that I said do 1.3 a month, they don't even have an email list. They just have what I'm gonna show you on this side. They just have DM conversations with people that go through a very specific process of qualifying the lead. So I'm sure you guys are all familiar, lead qualified or not, right? So lead comes into my inbox. So lead comes into my inbox. Let's say you have the nerve recovery program, right? You want to ask a question, well, does this person have nerve pain? Like, are you experiencing, like, what's the situation, right? Who is this person? For me, it's, are you my avatar? So I'll ask a question, maybe you'll get one from me that says, yeah, there you go. Hey, do you have an online coaching business or are you thinking about starting one? It's gonna be something along those lines. That's my team, that's real people in there asking questions because they convert better than AI. We figured that out. One of it, one of me,
with Amy right now, LOL.
yeah, go for it. They know I'm here. So some of it's automated, like I deliver lead magnets automated.
Yeah.
And then people follow up. I have real people in there, and it's only 2 people, and they're great. They're in there having conversations. The conversation flow is generally, hey, are you wanting to do the thing? Like, are you my avatar? Do you have nerve pain? Okay, great. What's your goal? And what are you struggling with? That's kind of what we need to know about someone. It's like diagnosing someone in PT. Where are you at? What's your problem? Where do you want to get to? That's it. If they answer in a way that shows that we can support them, we're going to send them out VSL. Very fancy word for just video sales letter, 10-minute video. Here's how I can help you. Let me know if you're in, out, or have any questions. So they watch my VSL. Maybe some of you.
On Instagram, or is that through something else?
So it's in the inbox, and I send them a link to, I'll show you it.
Still be a DM in Instagram?
Yep, just a DM, and I'm like, hey, I got a 10-minute video on how I can help you. Here's the link. They watch this video. It's actually like 12 minutes long. You can see all the results that I've helped people get. Great. At the end here, it says, come back to our chat. Let me know if you're in, you're out, or you have any questions. They come back to the chat. When they get back to the chat, I'm in. I just have messages all day. I'm in, I'm in, I'm in. With those people, or they have questions, and we answer the questions. For anyone that actually makes sense, we book a call. They talk to my team. My team are having calls right now. And then we enroll them. They pay, they enroll in the program, we help them get great results, they become testimonials. And then I post those people as testimonials on my Instagram. And it just repeats over and over again. This is the system, like if you set it up, all I have to do now that I have it set up is make sure that I do my job, which is creating good quality content. I also then added fuel on the fire by running ads. So you can actually run DM ads nowadays. So you'll see ads from me probably because we've been in each other's proximity. Meta will probably do its thing and you'll see ads from me. And it will say, hey, I got this, the core message. It'll say, I got this result without this thing that you think that you need. Here's how, DM me and I'll send you the system that I use. And then we're going to have a chat in the inbox and same thing. And if I know that I can, and this is actually what I wanted to share with you guys, if I know, let's look at the math of it, that I can pay, let's say I want to get 100 leads a day, cost me $4 to get a DM, like $4 to get a lead. Okay, I'm going to spend $400 a day. I'm going to book, 30 people are going to be qualified enough to view the video. They are someone I can help. I book 6 calls, I close 2, $6,000 program, I make 12 grand. So I spend 400, I make 12 grand. And I only pay my coaches 10%. And so this is how you can build a business so long as you keep like the other overheads, because some people are not very good at managing it, but it's how you keep the overheads pretty damn low and you can actually have a very high profit business and help people all over the world heal their nerves or build their content system or whatever it is that you help people with.
I think for us too, there is this like change of mindset in the sense of we treating more people at one time is like a negative in a lot of our clinics. Like we're like, the goal is one-on-one.
Yeah.
Right? So like many clinics where you're getting paid $80K a year are like working to the bone. You're seeing 4 people at a time. It's really shitty.
Yeah.
So for us, like one-on-one is the dream.
Yeah.
So then it's also a new mindset of instead of thinking just one-on-one, it's like how many people can we help without having to do the 4-on-1 model that we started at in our first year of school.
1,000%. And that's where the vehicle question makes sense, right? Like, obviously, you're in a vehicle right now. Let's max that out. Let's make sure it's as successful as possible.
And I think a model that maybe is kind of what you're talking about that's in execution in our industry. I don't even know these guys. Their offer is pretty clear. The prehab guys.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of, is that kind of where
Yeah.
This might be their back-end system. Is that what you're saying?
It should be their back-end system.
But they have like 4 straightforward offers.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they post and pray, right? They might have an online program or something that they can help people with, or even just the one-to-one PC services. And that's why I think you'd said it's like posting to the void sometimes. You're like, I'm marketing, but I don't know what's happening. I have a whole dashboard of my numbers every single day. I know exactly how many people are walking through my doors, which is finding my inbox. I know exactly how many people got sent the offer. I know exactly how many people have booked calls, and I know exactly what our close rate is. So it's very predictable. But when you don't have that level of reliability, that's when it feels like, oh, I'm just going to post again and hope that something happens and someone reaches out. It's the systems behind the scenes that make this a predictable, profitable model, not just, the influencer style where it's like, oh, people must love you and reach out to you all the time. It's the systems. All right. How are we feeling? Because I have a lot of stuff that I could go into, but I feel like what might be most helpful at this stage, I can show you some examples of people that we've done this for, but also I just want to answer like any questions that you guys have to make it the most relevant as possible. So just to give you an example of what we've done, like Emily, right? Because one of the things I get is, oh, Amy, you have 100,000 followers. How long did that take you to build at 16 years? Emily is a client of ours. Yeah, this is executing Emily. She's great. She's like a great client. We've worked together for 2 months. She was making 5, 10K, very sporadic, didn't have the systems. She has 2,800 followers. Her offer is she actually helps people go from bedbound, like with DPDR, really chronic anxiety, POTS, Lyme, all kind of stuff. She had that. Generally, your transformation that you facilitate will be rooted in your own story. So she had that. What people think that they have to do is go to, what does she call it? There's like a specific hospital that is like gonna charge you an arm and a leg to try and figure this out. Let me go to her page just so you can see this. Emily. All right. So bedbound to symptom-free, I've helped 25,000 people who've tried everything, overcome chronic symptoms, and reclaim their life. So where's a good example of a piece of content here? Here's one, I know. And so you can see, like, she produces very unfancy content. All right, so if you are chasing a cure for Lyme, mold, EBV, POTS, dysautonomia, chronic dizziness, etc., so if you have these problems, you actually just have one problem, a dysregulated nervous system. And if you don't start with this, you're gonna spend years and dollars chasing endless rabbit trails that end up sensitizing you further, like going to the Mayo Clinic like I did. DM me method, and I'll show you how I did it. She has her own unique method to help people, and she's very good at it as well. Like, she has amazing transformations. She only had, when we started working together, she had 2,800 followers. Now she's got like 3,000. Nothing crazy. Now,
That feels doable for the people in this room.
exactly. That's why I want to share this, because it's easy to look at mine and be like, oh, that's daunting. It's going to take forever. She's now making 60. She's on track for 70 this month because she just has a system that works for her. So instead of her posts, what she used to do is just post and help people come into her DMs and have a chat, and it was very unsystemized. Now we set up the system. Now her offer is $6,000 to work with her for 90 days. People have a big painful problem. She solves it, so it's more than worth it. She has a team now that do the enrollment calls and that facilitate the training. So you don't work with her directly, except like one group call, I believe. People don't care because they just want to feel better. They're not like, I need Emily. They're like, I just need to feel better, and she knows how to do it. Great, I'm so desperate at this point, I will try anything. And she is the last resort, and she helps them. She's easily going to hit 100K months with 2,800, or now she has 3,600 followers. So that's kind of one story. The other story that I'll share with you to give you even more indication of what is possible with a small audience is Kira. Where is she? So Kira had 28 followers when we started working together. She was like truly like, I got my mom and my grandma, and we're gonna try and figure this out. But she had been in sales. She loves sales, very good at sales, very passionate about helping people get better at sales. But she had 28 followers. So she's like, how do I figure this out? So what we actually do is, first thing, we gotta put together an offer that is really magnetic to people. That is one of the things that people get wrong. They might just do the strength recovery program. That's not it. We gotta have magnetic messaging that is very, very different to what other people are doing, that actually communicates the value and separates you from all the rest. So we've got to put that offer together, and the good news is it's just a formula. Just like you guys know how to heal things that I would have no idea about, I know how to put offers together that people see value in.
So you're essentially saying we could enter into what we feel is an oversaturated market, as long as we have
A counter position.
key messaging.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just said that, I'm like, everybody has a workout program for prenatal and postpartum.
Yeah.
But I feel like I could maybe do it a little bit better.
Yep.
How do you even?
So, yeah, you have to develop the messaging, which kind of it requires a little bit of back and forth. Like, we've kind of done a little bit of it here today, but it doesn't take long. Like, we have to define the brand, develop the messaging, great. Then you've got your map, your GPS. We also have to kind of study the market a little bit. Like, what are people in your market doing? How do we take a counter position? It becomes very attractive. Cool. So we put together an offer and the messaging for the offer so that people see a lot of value in it, and you're not just the other person with another workout program that there are many of. Then what we do before we build anything, because if anyone's sort of like building a program, building a course, you think of, I'm gonna spend years putting this together. I did the same thing. In the first one, I spent a year putting it together. Thankfully, I had 100 million people like audience, so it worked regardless, but that was the dumbest thing I ever could have done, because what if people didn't resonate with it? Would have wasted all that time. So what we did is we created the offer, we defined the messaging together. Okay, great, we know who you're serving. You're gonna start creating like some base level content around this, and we're gonna do a simple pre-launch strategy. Now, when people hear launch, they're like, oh my God, that's like a big thing. You have to have 1 million followers, you have to talk about it a lot. We actually use our circle of warm influence. You guys will have clients. They often are gonna be your first customers, which is great. But we get our first founding members in, your first clients in, with just circle of warm influence, and we show you how to do that. Great, now she's validated the offer, because everyone's gonna tell you that your offer is great. Mom, I'm creating this thing. She's gonna be like, great, honey, it's amazing. Mom's not gonna pay. Everyone that's your friend is gonna blow smoke up your ass and tell you it's great too. Until someone actually pays, we don't know it's validated. So that's why we gotta sell it before it exists. And so we sell people on the premise of what it is. It's starting at X date, so the nerve recovery system, whatever it might be. We're gonna kick off April 1st. You guys are gonna be founding members. We're gonna be building this out together. I really want your feedback as a part of this first group. Sound great? Your clients are gonna be like, yeah, sounds amazing. I would love to support you. They get a good gig because it's cheaper than everyone else. You get a good gig because you get first testimonials and feedback, and you actually get to validate the offer. She did that. With her 28 followers, she made 6K in a month. But most importantly, it's not about the money here. It's now we're building something with confirmation that people actually want it. Then from there, then we built out all the stuff I just showed you. So like the system, everything. In the last 90 days, she's brought in $19,000 straight profit, all organic. And all she does is one group call to her team of women that she's now training in sales each week. And she has 28 followers still. Or I think she's maybe at 200 now.
How I know that this is like part of your system, like I don't know from a timing perspective what we're actually getting into or what we'd have to do further with you. But how does she get people to do it if she doesn't have them following her?
So it's a good question. When people think of generating leads, they think of just creating content, and that's basically it, or paid ads, right? But there's also warm outreach and cold outreach. Warm outreach is just reaching out to people that already know you. Cold outreach is just letting people know you exist that don't know you yet. And so when you have your page set up in a specific way, that's basically like your business card. Like Instagram's kind of like the new business, or social media in general, it's like the new business card. So let's say you didn't know who I was, but I reached out to one of you because I identified that there's a reasonably good chance that you're someone that wants help with exactly what I can facilitate. First thing you're gonna do is be like, who's this? And you're gonna look at my page. And if the page is set up in a way to where you're like, man, is this what you said, right? Is this speaking to me? Then you're gonna be like, let's say it was all around, I help PT owners make more income than they do in their practice in 90 days. There's like 15 different testimonials in there of like all these PTs.
I have 12 more.
Yeah, right? So let's say that was how it's set up. You're gonna be skeptical but curious. You're gonna be like, sure, right? You're gonna like send a message back. Then through the conversation, through looking into things, then we have a call, then you're gonna be someone that I can work with. So that is how she did it, is we don't need to wait for years until we have this massive personal brand. We just need to set the page up as what I call a conversion mechanism. When someone gets to your page, they're like, how the heck do I work with this person? And that is just knowing what your unique messaging is, and the systems that I just showed you. So that core message, once we define that, and that's like so magnetic, it's so potent to someone, great. Now we just gotta get people there, which we can show you how to do, it's very simple, and you gotta have a system that actually converts that person. But that's all you need. Obviously she wants to grow a following and she's working on that, but she didn't wanna wait to launch the business until she had this big following. So of 200 people, like 200 people in a room is huge. That's what she has now. And people often think like, oh, you need 10,000 followers, you need all these people. That's because they're waiting for those people to like knock on their door and be like, can I work with you? Instead of being willing to like introduce themselves at the party and just saying, hey, here's how I do it. And it feels cringe when you don't know how to do it, but when you're actually doing it in a way where it's really authentic and your page does all the conversion, it's really easy.
I think we've also just all seen the cringe online, and we just, so, not just us, but us as a collective.
For sure. I mean, I've seen it too.
Seen the cringe, I'm like, oh, the last thing I ever want to be.
Yeah.
It's like what these people are doing.
I-
And I'm like, yeah.
If you don't like what's out there, make your voice louder. If
Yeah.
you think that's cringy and that's not good information, then why are you being quiet?
Yeah, you could do.
Yeah. It's a, it's a great question.
To get
It's such a
big.
good point though. It's such a good.
Yeah, because like I don't even know you, and I
No,
already knew
Britt's
you were.
like the perfect.
You knew what?
Yeah.
It's just such a good example.
She doesn't that feel good?
Why?
Advice, terrible training, and you're like, I could do so much better than that.
Yeah.
It's so funny because I found Britt online too before I knew she was part of this business because she's like works with Broadway and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, she's famous. I feel like it's so funny because you're like famous in the
I haven't
PT.
posted since July of last year.
Yeah. And, like,
Time to
this
start.
is who you are.
And
But
for you,
your brand speaks for who you are. 'Cause I thought something similar.
Yeah, I just.
and
I just
for
thought you were as big as Dan.
You know,
Oh my
we're
God.
talking.
I just assumed you were.
But like
Yeah.
this would be easy for you to do, I feel.
This is, but
Way
I have a true mental block that I am going to have to navigate in my own.
This is the perfect time to go into Q&A.
What I even do, I have like probably 27 years of knowledge, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Narrow that down to
When you
so,
said
but I
that,
know
this
that
is
a lot of
obviously
like
very
first,
first,
like she was
like,
like
what we were going into today, you were going to tell us how to build all of our systems.
Right.
That's one thing, and if
Yeah.
we were, I'm so sorry that.
No, you're totally fine.
I was taught to be the massive
like,
generalist.
When
So
you
it's so
are
what's
automating
weird.
ads and
Yeah.
stuff,
So,
when she's automating,
Not necessarily.
ignoring that, the
Um,
reason that I asked Amy to come to learn how to speak as the owner. I am not House of PT. I am Stephanie Telebassa, the owner, and I'm valuable as a potential speaker for the APTA. I was invited and paid. I was paid last year to speak online because they see me as an authority because no other PTs are posting online and I'm posting on social media.
So true.
I don't know what I'm doing on social media, right? So
I think you did.
I want Brittany to post.
Yeah, see?
You can get backstage contracts by being seen as the owner separate from the business,
Which
right?
would put me into my like it's like that would then count as toward the 1 million. I would, you know what I mean, because it's like, because of it. When you're automating DMs, do you have a program that you link to your, like, you know, you always like DM guide for whatever. Like, is that a separate program?
Yes, so it's called ManyChat. And it's like ManyChat,
Many, M-A-N-Y.
Yeah, ManyChat. So it's really easy to set up. There's like a bunch of YouTube tutorials. If that's the only system that you have set up, just use it to deliver a lead magnet. That's like the easiest thing to do is you can collect emails, deliver lead magnets using that.
Is that separate from Go High Level?
Yeah, I hate Go High Level personally.
It's low key, but it's cheap.
Yeah. So this is like what ManyChat looks like. You can basically set up like all of these flows of conversations and quizzes and all of that. Or you can keep it really simple that just says, hey, when someone sends me, let me zoom in further. When someone comments on this post, send them this thing. You can keep it really, really simple as well. These are systems that like I could probably spend a good amount of time kind of just going through and showing you how to set up, but there's also like YouTube videos that are very, very simple.
No, I'm just curious, like, you know, that like foot in the door of us just like starting any sort of thought on.
So first thing is, let me go back to my trusty deck here. First thing is like download that brand guide. That's like your map. You can't go anywhere without the map.
From you, right?
Yeah, because that's your GPS. Like content fuels everything in this business. If there's no content, there's no leads. If there's no leads, there's no sales. And so we have to define the brand. And right now, you maybe just want to use your brand to get free equipment for your practice. Great, you don't have to do any of this. You just have to ask the brands, what type of content, what things do I need to do, and go toward that goal. Maybe you just want to use the brand to get local clients. Great, start posting content. If you want to start making more money now or in the future, then you want to start posting as the business owner that Stephanie says. Start positioning yourself. Yes, start positioning yourself that way. A big part of that is actually getting over the identity piece, which is, I don't see myself as anyone special. In fact, I think probably, if I'm really truly honest with you, part of me thinks that I'm like not good enough yet. So I keep going and I want to produce more value for people.
Not good enough to post, it's like keep doing it.
Yeah.
Continue to.
Yeah, that's kind of, some of my trauma is like, I need to produce more value in the world. Like I haven't done it yet.
Our yoga instructor this morning.
There you go. Then I would be bliss. Yeah. Yeah. So like, I just know, we all have our stuff, right? And we can use it to fuel us or to impede us. And for me, I'm like, okay, well, if I have that mindset, how do I use this as fuel? Okay, well, I'm certainly not gonna sit there and think I'm not good enough to do something. I'm gonna use it as fuel to do more. And that's also what makes me feel really good about the money that I make is because I'm so committed to delivering the value on the back end of it. Because if you, like it can, and I'm sure this is what you think of when you think of the cringe, is like the people that sell courses, they don't deliver, it's crap, you know, and they're just collecting money. For me, the way I feel very ethical collecting money is by over-delivering, and I feel really great about it. But there is...
How we might feel charging the amount that we charge per hour is that it's not accessible to everyone.
Yep.
But we know how good we are,
Yep.
and our product and our service is better.
And you know what's a cool thing is once you start creating content, so what about the people that can't pay you? Well, my free content serves them. I produce more free value than someone who's not. So I'm like, great, go listen to my podcast, go watch my YouTube, go consume everything, go get all my lead magnets, go get all my free stuff. And there's so much value delivered without them having to buy anything. But for the person that's ready, then I serve them in that way. So it's a way that I feel very ethical about doing it. But I think the biggest piece, and we kind of circle right back around to the beginning, is like these fears that we have and the identity that we hold in our mind's eye has to be congruent with the goals that we have. Because if we don't see ourselves as someone that is worthy of having 100,000, a million, whatever it is, followers, or worthy of making 100K, a million a month, whatever it is, we're never going to take the actions that actually produce it. And so what needs to shift? That's why I asked, like, what would need to be true for you to be worthy, for you to be good enough? And then kind of address that in your morning meditations or yoga sessions. Because there's systems, right? Like, I can show you all the systems. That stuff's easy. Setting all this up, easy. But becoming the person who shows up every day and it feels aligned, that's actually the harder part. And when you can get over this fear of being seen, this fear of, oh my gosh, what if I offend someone? You actually grow as a human too. Because you're gonna be your fullest expression of yourself when you don't mind if you offend someone so long as you're acting in line with your values. And you only get that if you kind of work through it and show up online. So there's so much growth that happens not only financially, I think, but like as a human from having a personal brand, which I know that you know as well.
Yeah, sorry, just to cement that in,
Yeah.
Your value online. I started following you when I was shifting from treating patients to doing coaching online.
Yeah.
And I didn't purchase anything from
Yeah.
you until you came out with MemberUp. And I had already been following you and learning from you for so long that I was like, if you're building a program, I love your aesthetic. It's going to look so much better than Carter. Whatever it's
Yeah,
called.
I don't even know if they're around anymore, but yes.
I don't think so, but like I already knew your aesthetic and everything that you stood for enough to bring all 20 people over from another program without even having seen it.
Yes, well,
Like,
thank you.
That's how strong it was.
Why, thank you.
Even
I
though
appreciate
her
that.
personal brand was not connected with MemberUp in the sense of
But you
like,
knew she was
but you knew
connected.
she was affiliate or like.
Yeah, I mean, I pushed it in the beginning. I shouted from the rooftops about it in the beginning. I just need to be able to sell the business. I need to decouple the lead generation because otherwise I'm going to sell me with the business, and that's not what I want. But yes, like to that point, we had an aligned value, aesthetics. You wanted something that looked good, and that's part of our core message. You want a software platform that looks good, but you don't want to spend all this time creating it, and all the other ones look junky. Great, come on MemberUp. And that resonated, that core message framework resonated, and we had trust because you'd followed me and kind of got a vibe for who I was for a long time. And that's how it works, and yeah, it follows you forever, which is the cool part.
I think for me, I don't know if it's somebody else, but I think the fear really is more my brain starts thinking, okay, it's really hard to hire salespeople to convert. It's really hard to find people that do that. So my phobia is not being seen or showing up anymore. It has been, but I feel like I've moved past that. Now it's, but what if I can't execute everything I sold?
Yeah.
What if it happens too fast, or what if I don't have the skill set for that, and now I've got so much going that I can't deliver, or this other ball drops, right?
Good question. Okay, so what other skills in your practice were you terrified of that you've now mastered? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was a stay-at-home mom 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, I was even afraid to do PT.
You have a kid? I don't have a kid. I would be terrified. I wouldn't know what to do, but I would have one and I would figure it out, right?
I told you yesterday when we did the bio workshop,
Yeah.
I said, okay, let's go out in the hallway and record. Lindsay was like, yeah, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
Like, she was one of the 2 people in the room that were like,
Yeah.
I can do this right now because I'm not afraid anymore.
Yeah. And I think it's
Me at all, because I'm pretty sure she was like, nah, she won't do that.
I think it really comes from just trusting yourself, not that you have all the answers from day one, but trusting yourself that you'll be able to figure it out. Like when I started MemberUp, the software company, like I'd never run a software company before. I had no freaking clue what I was doing, to be honest with you. I had some knowledge, but certainly not all the knowledge that I needed to build a $100 million software company. Like, what is that? And I didn't trust that I knew everything. I just trusted that, man, if I look back over my life, I figured it all out. I trust my ability to problem solve. But I also put myself in supportive environments where if I had a question, I would go to someone that had solved that exact problem and I would just ask them how to do it. That's how you solve the problem. So if you're building all this stuff out, like whether it's with me or someone else, like just get in the room with someone who's done it and just have them show you how to do it. Same thing, that's why someone will buy your program. I don't want to learn how to go fix my nerves. I want to be shown from someone that knows how to do it and save myself the 12 months of having to Google and figure it all out and piece it together and probably have it not work, right?
That's helpful because I feel like my fear is like putting something out there that is inauthentic. I'm
Yeah.
You can't fix your knee pain with just this one thing.
Mhm.
But to your point of like, I am maybe just speaking to one person, but that one person multiplies and then becomes hundreds of people.
Yeah.
I just am afraid of putting something out that is not accurate information.
For sure.
You know, something like that.
So,
I also think that the thing you said about common knowledge is like dumbing it down for us is like to remember what we learned in the first year of PT school, like bridging for glute strengthening or something like something so simple
mhm.
is so far away from what we think of
Yeah.
nobody knows how to do until I go to a Barry's class and I'm like,
Yeah.
nobody knows how to do this right. So
Yeah.
I think that there is the common
1,000%.
Yeah.
common.
I think one thing that I just keep coming to is sort of what Courtney was saying, and like putting out incorrect information, but also I don't, like, it's my license, it's my profession, and I'm not diagnosing these people, and how do we bridge that as medical providers when we're, like, I have like 400 videos of how to do exercises that I just sit with and I give out through my home exercise program map that is totally available to be made into content if I figure out how and what to do with it ever. But I don't want to give people the wrong exercises and make them worse. And I don't know what that liability is.
I think there's two pieces of it, right? There's number one is like, are you saying that you are prescribing something specifically? So one of the other things I teach is investing, like simple index fund investing, because I'm like, man, we all should have been taught this. We all should have been doing this since 16. You can, yeah. It's amysangster.com. It's on my website. It's $97 a month, super cheap. Because it's just one of those things where I'm like, it's common knowledge. Like everyone should know this stuff. Why on earth don't they teach us this stuff? Within that, I was licensed at one point in time. I did all the compliance and everything when I had my first business, because that was how I started out, is actually teaching personal finance. I am no longer licensed, which is totally fine. I just say up front in the videos, hey guys, I'm not licensed to give you personal financial advice. Everything that you're viewing in here is just the system that I use. There's no liability assumed. And you'll see every mobility person, everyone doing that. Even making a YouTube video nowadays is like, if you don't put that disclaimer, sometimes, if someone wants to sue you, they can, it's America. So just put the disclaimer. Like, this is my system based on my knowledge. This is not in any way financial advice. This is not in any way medical advice. Like, you'll see those disclaimers everywhere. So just have a conversation with ChatGPT about like, what disclaimers do I need on my content to protect myself, and then run it by a lawyer. And that'll kind of solve that. But it seems like it might more be rooted in your identity of like, what if I say the wrong thing? Not even if there's a liability from it? No?
No, I don't mind saying the wrong thing.
Okay, so it's just the liability?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a liability thing of, I just don't know what's okay.
There's also like, when I post a video that's towards a patient and it's an exercise demonstration, I say, this is what I did with my patient who had knee pain yesterday. That's a fact. This is what we did together. I didn't say, this is the best exercise for anyone with knee pain.
3 exercises for every single
But
person with knee pain.
But if
is
we're
not
creating something
Yeah.
that we're selling,
Mhm.
like, and so if we're saying like, okay, if I say, here's 7 different exercises that are gonna help your shoulder gain mobility, like I'm selling a concept of regaining your shoulder mobility.
You're talking about the actual program.
Okay.
Building out the actual program is different than what you're putting online.
Yep.
Because you're qualifying that
Right.
person.
But because we're doing this whole thing to potentially build out something that we're selling, a product. And then we're selling that product without ever diagnosing someone, are we selling snake oil? Are we doing something that is bad for patients that are not actually patients? They're just like, but like,
Can you add an eval, a 30-minute call, and then have 2
but I'm only licensed in New York, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
and so then I'm
We
just
should
like, never
talk about
mind.
this once Amy's done.
Drop
Yeah. I do have 2 cents on that too.
Yeah, Ashley is doing this,
Yes,
so.
so also, if you buy a book, I just bought Dr. Bonda Wright's book, and it tells me how to strength train for osteoporosis. It tells me
Yeah.
to jump up and down, and it tells me to lift these weights, and I'm gonna build my bones. And if you have an active compression fracture, instead do it on a trampoline, right? It's giving medical advice. She has no idea who I am. I bought
Right.
this book.
Yeah.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
The other part that might resonate a little more in your mind is like when people come to work with me, there's an onboarding survey. We are diagnosing what's going on in their business. I have what's called an entrepreneurial archetype, where it's just like, well, I can't give you advice until I know what even success does look like for you. You want to build to 100K a month? You want 10K a month? Do you want more time with your kids? You want to build big? Like, I need to know that information. So we are doing that analysis in the beginning. It's just how you structure the program. Obviously, with like medical, there would be a little bit more of a process of figuring out how to structure that so that you have your needs met, which is, I need to feel good about this. The client has their needs met and the liability needs are met as well, in a way that also is what I like to call operational minimalism, where we're not now creating another one-to-one situation. So that would be the process.
You also could call it coaching. Also call it coaching.
Yeah.
I know.
You say, yeah, but like, as a licensed provider, can we, like, don't we have to speak to our highest license?
Yes.
It depends. No.
But not,
Cause like, I'm also a yoga teacher, but if I'm in a yoga class, like, there is a different brain system, right?
that has
Yes,
always
and I think that the before we have our like wrap up for the day, we are going to talk about wellness services. So I think this conversation probably falls into like, where do we want to go with the wellness services? Because if it doesn't feel good, like for me, it was very hard to group together patients and say, this is a program I'm going to do. So I grouped together business owners because I was like, this feels good to me. So that might be a discussion that we have in the wellness side of things.
Absolutely.
I think Akansha had one question before we shift gears.
Go for it.
Yeah, so I'm from India. I recently moved from there.
Awesome.
When I see now Indian people on Instagram that are creating group, creating South Asian community, I really get attracted to that, and I really want to do that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think if I'm gonna do that, I'm not gonna get like other clients.
Okay.
Like only Indian clients are gonna get attracted to me.
Okay.
So it confuses me a lot, but I really want to do that as well. Because I really want other from India, my friends over here to feel like, okay, I can also do that if she has done it. So I'm very confused, like, what should I do? Should I create a different page for it?
Okay.
How do I mix it up?
So right now, do you have a PT page and a personal page? Okay, and is your personal page actually funneling traffic to your PT business at all?
No.
Okay.
I have a personal account which is private.
Okay.
Then I recently have a PT page.
Okay.
Like my office and then my open profile.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so I would keep it separate from your PT practice. Start a new account, do this exercise for that account. Who are my avatars? Who am I speaking to? What are their hopes, dreams, fears, blockers? You can get away with like a little overlap sometimes, but if it's very different and you don't want your business asset, which is your business account, attached to it, so I would say do it as a separate account. The other thing I would say is try not to solve problems before they exist. So you're saying like, I have a fear that I'm only going to attract, it's a hypothesis. Let's treat it like a science experiment, like I said. Maybe you're only going to attract a certain type of demographic. Okay, when that happens, we'll solve for it. Chances are it may or may not happen. Does that make sense? Yeah, because so often, like we're business owners, so we're forward thinkers. But often that also ends up in overwhelm where we're creating a long list of things that are going to happen in our minds that never happen, and then we're trying to solve things that never happen when we actually should just solve the next problem in front of us at any given time. So I would start simple and also recognize if that overwhelm is actually just protecting us, our nervous system protecting us from doing the thing, which we talked about. But yeah, start simple. Just solve the next problem in front of you. Okay, the problem number one was I didn't know which account to do it on. Great, we're gonna do it on a separate account. Problem number two is, well, what the heck do I post? Great, download this. Start putting it together and then start posting. Yeah. Simple, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's simple when you actually define this. Right now, it's probably like a lot because you just learned this in the last 2 hours. But once you define all this stuff, like, Hunter, how long does it take me to create content for the month? Every day, posting every day.
3 days.
And that's of like the whole process, not even me sitting down filming. I have support now, but scripting, like putting it all together, I sit down for maybe 6 hours total of that.
We also do it in the highest production value possible.
Yeah, that's like the 16 years of doing it version.
Where you're like integrating cameras and scenes and lighting and it's just different.
Emily that has like 3,600, super simple. She takes like a clip in the mirror and she just puts text over it. So there's levels, and you can decide what level you want to kind of do it at and what you have capacity for.
What advice would you give somebody who has a hard time looking at long-term goals? Just very short-sighted in this is what my year looks like, but I have a hard time looking at my 5-year, 10-year plan.
Why do you find it hard? Like what comes up for you when we're like, let's think about 5 years from now?
Because my husband does it for me. I maybe.
Okay. Okay, so he has the vision for the family maybe?
Yeah.
And you don't need to?
Correct.
Is that a problem? Or is it an asset?
But I'm the business owner, so in my business, I
Okay.
have a hard time looking ahead. I've always just
Okay.
been a here and now, live in the moment, what happens, happens kind of person.
Okay, is that serving you?
So far.
Yeah.
I'm creating a problem maybe that doesn't exist.
Yeah. So if it's serving you, like I don't change anything unless it's not serving me. So like if it's serving you, don't listen to anyone, me included. But if it's not serving you, if you're noticing that maybe it served you up until a point, and now it's like, oh, actually, I have these big goals that I really would like to define, and maybe I'm lacking clarity and the business is suffering because I can't think beyond 3 months or whatever that might be. Now maybe it's becoming a hindrance and it's something to solve for. But I'd kind of ask, like, I always think, is it a person or a process problem? Do we not have the process in our business to think 3 to 5 years ahead? Like, do we actually need to sit down, create the spreadsheet, the projections, all that stuff? Or is it a person problem where we're like, I keep myself so freaking busy that I don't even think about anything and I don't even know what that looks like. Like, is it a person situation where maybe I need to like meditate a little more and create some free time for myself? Yeah. Exactly. Often it's both. Often it's both. Exactly. But you kind of are the only one that really know the answer to that. But again, if it's not a problem, don't solve it. What is going to be I wake up every day and I'm like, what's the biggest problem that I can solve today that's going to have the biggest impact on my life and get me closer to my goals? Because there's a long list of priorities. You're going to have kids, and then the business is going to have a fire over here. You can't solve it all at once. But if every day I reprioritize that list and I'm like, all right, did the biggest, most needle-moving thing today, that's all I could do. And that's how your life just gets better and better. And your business too. Yeah.
Your walk and talk conversation in the morning, what did you say? You said something like, am I aligning with my values? Or
Yeah.
Was there another question that you said?
Am I living in alignment with my identity? Like, is my behavior and my actions demonstrating that identity? So I'll give you a tangible example. I had a partner in MemberUp who completely ghosted. Very in the idea phase, all for it, I'm gonna provide all this value. Got down to executing, nothing. I was overcompensating, going along with it for a long period of time. She did ayahuasca and quit on an email. Long 2-year period of, funny situation, not one I thought I would find myself in. Long drawn out 2 years of legal back and forth because the person couldn't have a conversation. Very frustrating on a human level. And I found myself asking myself that question each morning. Am I living in alignment with a $100 million CEO? I was like, no. Why? Because I'm spending time stewing over this. I'm wasting, they have a legal department and I outsourced it. Great, give me updates on this situation, and it got resolved. It would have got resolved whether I thought about it or not, but I wasn't living in alignment with the version of myself that I wanted to be. I was living in alignment with the $1 million CEO. Oh my God, it's a legal thing. Oh my God, this is so annoying. Fuck this person, whatever, right? And so that's like a tangible example of it. Or, okay, well, if I have this goal of impacting 10,000 creators, am I living in alignment with that? Well, am I posting? Am I sharing my value? Am I doing all the things that we talked about today? Yes or no? For me, it's yes right now, but for the last 3 years, I was behind the scenes in the business. So I was like, no, I'm not. All right, I'm gonna change that. So some tangible examples. But yeah, I like reflecting on that because you'll have ebbs and flows where, especially females, hormones ebbs and flow too, right? So some days you're like super on it, super motivated, and then the monotony of life kicks in. The business has things that it takes over. And it's one of those things you consciously have to reflect on every single day. Otherwise, you just fall back to baseline. So it takes intention to shift, just like anything, right? If I want to move my arm above my head, it's intention. And so if you don't create moments in your life to add that intentionality, it just like you're on default mode forever. So if nothing else resonated from having a personal brand, like hopefully that you take away. Don't solve problems that don't exist. And don't go back to default mode. Like have intentionality around what you're creating, whether it's a brand, your business, anything. And just check in regularly. Any other questions? Yeah, of course. Any other questions, or are we feeling?
I'll be DMing you.
Why, thank you. The neutrals. Aritzia, actually. We like an Aritzia pant. Yeah.
I wondered if they were.
Yeah, but it's very dangerous because it's white.
I know.
So if you have a matcha, which I love, you're screwed for the rest of the day if you spill it.
You don't have, you get
That's because I wore a different outfit here and I changed in the car. That's a good question. These guys are super old, but they're just suede loafers. Look them up. I'm sure you can find some. But they're very comfy. As a tall girl, can't wear heels, so I've got to find a comfy loafer. Any other? See, we always want what we don't have. I want to be cute and short. Any other questions? Anything I can support you with? Any last minute thoughts?
Be hearing from us on your DMs, whether it's you or your
Yeah.
Curiosity. When you convert someone, what are you selling? I'm just curious what you're selling.
Yeah.
Because you're amazing and you just literally give us so much great information. Are you selling your systems? Is that what?
Yeah.
Someone who wanted to create online content that's
Yep.
Emily and Sarah and all of that, you're helping them create systems to sell that thing that they really want.
Yeah, I help.
Back in that you said.
Yeah. I help them build all this. So everything that we discussed, defining the brand message, coming up with the brand, like all the brand guide stuff. Okay, now we're going to put together the offer. So taking you from like, oh my God, what could this be? Into this is the potent offer. Great, now we're going to pre-launch it. We're going to test it. We're going to get the system set up all the way through to 100K months if you want to, which is running ads and all that stuff. We have all the spreadsheets, everything that you need. So that's what I teach. And yeah, and it's a system, which is the best way to teach something because then you can train other people on it too.
And when, from like an individual perspective, like you said, you have like an onboarding, like info form of sorts. Do you then, as you or your team, kind of like niche it down to what each individual person is looking for, or do you have like kind of like groups?
Yeah. So it's done in a couple of different ways. We have one-to-one coaching within it that sometimes it's me providing. So I have an escalation framework. If someone doesn't know, then my system is broken. I haven't trained my person on this. They escalate it to me. Now we train them on it. Now they know. So the one-to-one coaching is largely done through my team. They're all trained on the system. They're amazing at it. If they don't know, they come to me and I give the answer. Then they know. Then we have a group component because there's so many parts of this that are better done in groups, just like this. Like people get to connect. It helps when you recognize that you're not the only one that's shitting your pants as you're posting, all these things. So we have a group component of it where we do group calls each week. So the 3 skills you're gonna need to master is content, sales, and mindset. And so we do calls on those. And then we just have open office hours calls as well for people to come ask any questions that they want. But it's customized. The system stays set. I know that we're gonna need to define your offer, define your niche, pre-launch it, like the intervals are set, but the system, like your messaging is gonna be different to your messaging is gonna be different to your message. So we customize it within that system, if that makes sense.
So there's still, there's still person connection.
Yeah.
To you or someone on your
Yes.
team within the system that you've already done.
Very much so, yeah. And how I think about that is like support is one of the biggest ways that you're gonna make a difference in helping someone start their business. Like you guys have this support, which is amazing. I can't just give someone the system because I know you're gonna get in your own head, you're gonna freak out, you're gonna have a question, you know. So we have intervals and checkpoints where we're supporting you. If you don't engage, we reach out. We have accountability, we have all of that stuff. And we know that we need to offer that support. I price that into the margin of the product because I can't just give you the product and be like, I'm gonna take all the profit. Yeah, we price it in. So we have that personalized support within a system that isn't heavily dependent upon me all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we were creating something in line with physical therapy or something, so let's just use the nerve model, right? There's still our ability to critical think because it's behind the scenes. Because like the challenge that I have is I think I've been on for 27 years and I'm like, I don't know, I just know so much.
Yeah.
I learned so many different things. I'm like, I don't know. I'm used to someone coming to me with their problem and then I solve it. And then I get all this information, but right now I'm like, I don't know. I know what I know. I know I need you to give me a problem to fix it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You need
So,
your
but when,
avatars.
right.
To-
But I have like, I have 50 if I wanted to. Do you know what I mean? Like I have so many and I kind of like them all.
Yeah.
It's
not a bad thing.
It's pretty bad. But by you talking about what you're doing, it's it's really kind of describing that there is some human connection
For sure.
and like problem solving behind it.
Yes.
You're just creating something that's relatively almost simplistic for
Yep.
you.
Yep.
And for us,
Yep.
it is that same thing. Like a bridge is a bridge is a bridge. to
Exactly.
us, but not everybody else thinks, I mean, I can teach a bridge right 20 different ways.
Yes.
You know? And so I can customize it to that human
Yes.
that connects with either me or my team that happens to be a PT also.
1,000%. Yes. So for example, my health coach, Vince, has a group program. He's like you guys, super knowledgeable, super smart, needed to find a way to replicate himself because he couldn't take on as many clients as wanted to work with him. So he trained a whole bunch of coaches. They now deliver the service. Same thing, they have an escalation framework. Hey Vince, we got this onboarding survey. These symptoms, I've never dealt with anything like this before. What's your expertise? He then trains on it, creates an SOP on it. Great, now they know how to deal with that in future. And so you have these checkpoints where you're still diagnosing the person, but you want to create leverage with your time by getting someone else to perform the service instead of you. And you want to slowly over time systemize your brain. So like my team, they know a lot, but there's still situations where they come to me and there's a nuanced thing, just like there would be a nuanced thing for you guys. And so then I solve it, and every single time they come to me with that, then I systemize it. I'm like, all right, guys, we're gonna do a training on XYZ random thing that came up this week that you didn't know. Here's the Loom video, or here's the training. Any questions? Great, now they know how to handle it. So that's how you can like systemize it, but still provide the level of support that you want to. Yeah.
Hopefully that doesn't sound too different than what we've done.
It sounds
with
like,
hiring
yeah,
people in
now it
person.
sounds
Yeah.
much more like less daunting, because
Yeah.
I now understand where it's at.
Yeah, it's just bringing what you're doing in person online, literally.
Serving more people.
Yeah.
Smaller amount.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
But from the comforts of your own home.
Yes, in sweats with no makeup on, yes.
And because there's more, there's like just more revenue.
There's more volume. Yeah, yeah, and it's all able to be outsourced. So like the people in my DMs, great, we pay them. The people that do calls, great, we pay them. It's all systems. How do you onboard a closer? How do you onboard a setter? Once you have the systems to do everything, just like in your practice, like you could teach me how to run a practice. You'd be like, oh yeah, here's my SOPs, here's how, it's just the same thing. You're just teaching that way.
Still like managing classes.
Yeah, and this is where like your entrepreneurial archetype I think is really important, because I can teach you, like let's say you came in and I'm like, great, we're gonna build to 200K months. Some of you might be like, but I don't want my day to be managing a team. I don't want my day to look like, I don't wanna run ads, screw that. So that's why we have to define like, what do you want not only your profit to look like, but your lifestyle to look like, because there are variants to this funnel that people go through that don't require calls, but that requires a specific price point and a specific way that we're having these conversations. So we customize it. That's where like my diagnosis comes in, is like, what do you want your life to look like? Okay, great. You're gonna be archetype A and you're gonna do this. You're archetype B, you wanna go to the moon. Let's go, here's how you do it. So it's customized that way.
Well, I think the interesting thing, so I've done a little bit for a few months with a different marketing company that was, anyway, doesn't matter. But what I ran into was an owner trying to build like these more digitized systems, and it's so much creative work, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's so much like you gotta pull it out, figure it out, and then systems too, software and new things, right? But for me as an owner and not trying to get that off the ground, the struggle is like, we don't have a lot of free time.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, now to schedule this calendar call with this
Yep.
person, and then schedule, now we're gonna escalate it because they, and
Yep.
then schedule. And so for me, and this is just personal, I'm just curious, like, I don't know how your company like does that, because probably most of your clients are busy.
Yeah.
Right? Is that I mean, it was the epitome of executive overload
Yeah.
for me, because of all.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
there's like,
And it's kind of out of sight, out of mind.
yeah, for
which
sure.
is my personality, not all your clients are like that. But.
Yeah, and I think it really just depends on your goals, right? So let's say you were making $1 million in your practice, but you had a goal of 10. And you're like, okay, well, I'm only making 7% profit margin on the million. So, okay, if I want to get out of this model, I know that I need a new vehicle, and I'm going to commit to a year of overlap in my vehicles to be able to bridge to get to the next one. Some people are cool with that. Like when I worked at the bank, and then I brought my laptop in every morning, and the company laptop or the company computer wouldn't let me go on certain websites, and so I'd finagle it, and it sucked. And it was like a year of doing that, but I was cool with it because it was in line with my goals and my values. Other people are like, okay, I am gonna quit the job and I have this runway of time. I've got emergency fund, great. That's some people's goal because they're like, I'm not doing this another day. Maybe you're like, well, I'm gonna exit the business in 3 years. And at that time, in the meantime, I'm gonna be building my personal brand. And at that time, then I wanna teach people how to build and exit their PT businesses. So you kind of just have to define your goals. There's not really a right or wrong. And your goals define how you manage your time. So it's just, if my goal is X, well, I'm gonna dictate that with my time. And I'm gonna be okay with the trade-offs because everything's a trade-off. But there is ways to be very intentional about it. Like if you don't have, like some people do have jobs, they can't do calls. Great, they just bring in a closer, it's commission only, they don't have to spend anything, it's 10%. And so they just have someone else right from the onset running the calls for them. So there's like solutions to every problem. But at the end of the day, there's no workaround for, you have to build the system to get it to work, obviously, first. Yeah.
How much time on average does it take to build that system? Both like in a week and for how many months?
Yeah.
So like because we're all working to create time in our lives to make that space. And so when are we ready to start adding that piece in? How much time do we have to have?
So it depends how quickly you want to go through it. Some people chip away and they're like, I got kids, I got a job, I'm going to do an hour a day. Great. We say like 7 hours a week minimum to get through it in like the 90 days and have like your 10K months in the 90 days if you want to do that. But some people want to go slower and they're like, great, I'm just going to do this at my own pace. It's really, again, it's up to you. If you can do 7 hours a week, you'll kind of keep up with the cadence that we recommend. And at the same time, other people are like, I'm cool with it taking 8 months. I just want to know that I'm working toward it and be putting the time in when I can. Some people, like, they do it all in one day. So it's really kind of personal, but 7 weeks is kind of, or 7 hours a week is kind of like the minimum. It also depends how fast you learn and how quick you are with things too. Like some people, I've seen the same task, 30-minute task, take 4 hours because someone's like massively overthinking and they're in their head. So there's like a little bit of variance there too.
Do people generally already have what they want to put out there when they come to you? Or like, if I did something online, I have no idea what I would want. Would I need that concrete idea before?
It's a mix. Some people, like Kira, for instance, the one that had 28 followers, she's like, I love sales, I want to build a sales program, just don't know how to do any of it. I'm like, okay, great. Some people are like, okay, I know I have a general interest in X thing, and so we help them like build their story, kind of pull it out of them, and also marry that with market demand, because a lot of people have this delusion of like, well, I love this thing, and they're blinded by, like one example, when my partner was sick, I got naturally very into health. But my whole audience was focused around money and finance at the time. And so I was so delusional about my passion. I want to launch a health offer. I wasn't qualified to do that, nor did my audience want that from me. I had no market demand, no proof, and I completely ignored all of my logic. And I got like 3 people, right? So it's like you have to marry that passion. It's the intersection of what does the market demand say, what is your skill set, and what's your personal story. And so we work with people to like pull it out of them and kind of turn that into the offer. Any other questions? Thank you. I'm so glad. When Stephanie asked me, I was like, okay, it's a little bit of a different audience than normal. But yeah, hopefully if nothing else, like I love just seeing behind the scenes of other people's stuff. And now you know kind of how it works. And so you can tell Dan or not tell Dan how it works.
Please.
But it's really like a map, right? If I know, okay, if I want to get to X destination, now I know the map to get there, great. Now you guys have a map. And if you know that you never want to get to that destination, that's cool too. Now you can go confidently in the direction that you guys want to go as well.